Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. It's time for the best damn comic book show on all the interwebs, on podcast, YouTube. It's time for the Comics Aficionados. We got a great show for you this week. Got a great panel. We're going to talk about the best and worst comics. We're going to talk about some of the controversies that were out there regarding perhaps people were talking about the legacy of the New 52. Who's the real Wolverine? Is James Tynion's Batman any good? Joshua McDonald, you started a firestorm on social media with your comments about Tynion's Batman. What the hell, man?
I mean, you know, it's just, it was pretty much just a Tuesday for me. What can I say? It's not uncommon at this point.
So that was fun. We'll dig into that debate. Also, we got up with this Uel Carter from Fantastic Comics. How's everything out there in Berkeley?
It's starting to heat up a little bit, but things are doing pretty good. Heating up in the atmosphere and also in the comic store. I've been selling comics like crazy.
All right.
That's awesome, we're hearing. The word is that the spring sales have been very good, almost across the board. So that's very encouraging news. We've also got with us Chris from Comics Exposed. We haven't seen you for a couple months, I think. How you doing, Chris?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on the show. Good morning, everybody.
Glad you could make it. Who else we got? We got anybody important? We've got just Pele from Parts Unknown. How you doing, Pele?
Everybody knows I'm in East Tennessee now. I mean, come on. You know, it's even the people I don't want to know that I'm in East Tennessee now. But it's a big area. It's a big area, and we're heavily armed, so it's okay.
That's right.
But it's a beautiful morning here. We're burying pets. We're having a good time. Not doing that, but we're having a good time otherwise. And we're here to talk comics, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing that. So.
Yeah, we absolutely are. And finally, last but not least, we got the co-host of the Comics Aficionados. Doc, how you doing? You feeling salty today?
I'm definitely least.
You liked the X-Men, this comic this week. We just talked about Spider-Man. You were in a good mood.
I am in a good mood.
I'll put a damp on that.
I'm in a good mood. I mean, granted, we're going to talk about a bunch of stupid shit next.
What are we talking about? We're talking about the best comics of the year.
I mean, Laura being real Wolverine.
We haven't got there yet.
I know, but so we're gonna talk about stupid shit at some point today,
eventually,
and and I'm gonna try to not turn heel on, Europe.
Absolutely, and we do have a super chat from Zook's Pop Culture in the UK. Sorry I couldn't make it the past few weeks. Doc, sorry to hear about your fur baby. Hope you are all doing well. Much love. So absolutely, Doc did lose his puppy a couple weeks ago. That was sad. And then this week, Pele lost a cat. So.
Yeah, he's a good cat. A very expensive cat. He already paid $4,000 a few months ago to get his insides put back inside. But he's a good cat. And he went out the way that he wanted to go out, fighting and cussing and having a good time. So, God bless him.
And thank you guys over at Zook's Pop Culture. Thank you for your condolences. He I don't know if I'd say he was a puppy. I mean, he was 14 and a half, and he was a 90-pound dog. So but
that's a great life, though, man. That's a great life.
Sad to say goodbye.
It was sad, and not only did we have to say goodbye to a couple of animals this week, we did have to say goodbye to the director of the very first really big superhero movie, Richard Donner of Superman fame. Me personally, I love his work on Lethal Weapon. I just watched The Goonies with my 6-year-old. He absolutely loved it. We got to fall in love with that movie together just a couple of weeks ago. So that was a very bad passing. I hate to see somebody like that go. Pele, what are your thoughts on Richard Donner's passing in his legendary Superman movie?
Oh man, there's not much that can be said. It's just it's the prototype. It is the movie by which all others that come after it will be measured, and it's incredible. Everybody watched Superman the first time, you believe that a man could fly. So it was fantastic. Christopher Reeves was Superman. So I mean, we've had Henry Cavill, fantastic Superman, probably the second best in my opinion. But Christopher Reeve will always be the Superman. And the Donner cut, Superman 2 is amazing. And if you haven't seen it and you didn't really like Superman 2 the first time, watch the Donner cut. It is absolutely unreal and awesome. Amazing stuff.
Absolutely. So that was a huge loss, and condolences to the Donner family. And we lost a legend this week, just as far as not only Superman, like I mentioned, Goonies, Lethal Weapon. He had a portfolio that speaks for itself. Now let's get into some things that are a little bit more positive. We've got a couple of super chats to get into before we talk about the best comics of the year so far. Kenneth Dowling, I'm glad you enjoyed your birthday. I'm glad you enjoyed the 4th of July. Thanks for coming back. Good morning, fellas. Great to see you guys. Celebrated the 4th and my birthday in Hotlanta, Georgia. I'm uploading my pics on Facebook now. Had a great time, but I'm glad to join you guys today and talk comics. Well, we're glad to have you back, and happy birthday belated. Also, we've got Lade Kramer. So idea Marvel could do, have Johnny Storm actually being in love with Reed, acted like a fool because jealous of his sister. Likelihood could happen. Weekly comic concepts that make Eric Breen cringe. I think you made us all cringe.
Yeah.
Very well done, Lane Kramer.
Good.
Let's see
go,
if
Lane.
Yeah.
Let's
Thanks,
see if we
Lane.
can run with that one. You just gave somebody a great idea. When it happens in 6 months, we know who to play.
Well, when Tom
Yes.
King moves over,
No doubt.
probably.
I don't know. Slot
Ugh.
might do it.
Well,
Might do
we'll be
that
talking
one.
about Jeph Loeb. He kind of did that in Ultimates, so we'll
This
see.
is true. We'll
Yeah,
get to
very
Jeph
true.
Loeb here
Right.
by the end of this. So thank you very much for supporting the channel. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about the best comics of 2021 so far. For me, it's been the year of the indies. My favorite comic of the year, and I am going to have an entire top 10 list. It's all mine. It's already been recorded. It just hasn't gone up yet. It'll be up during the week, and so it will not be influenced by these guys. It's already been set in stone. And my number one, I will spoil it now, is We Live from the Miranda brothers, Naki and Roy Miranda. I don't think that you can beat that. We only got 2 issues of it, obviously at the beginning of the year, but I still think that was a high bar to scale. Uel Carter in Fantastic Comics. You have the sunny disposition of the panel. What was your favorite comic of the year so far?
I already know what it was. I knew what it was going to be when I saw that it was announced, and it has not failed, and it has one more issue to go. Like almost all comic books right now, it's a mini series.
You're gonna pick mine. Aren't
Am I really?
yeah, you are.
Kind of going along with this indie theme. You got your Images and all your other companies that are not Marvel and DC, but I'm taking an indie guy. I'm going to Marvel, and I'm saying Daniel Warren Johnson's Beta Ray Bill.
Fucker.
Sorry, buddy. He called me first. I had a backup.
I know it.
The best. If you are a fan of Thor and Beta Ray Bill from the Walt Simonson days, or you just like really super kinetic energy on the page of a comic book, you have to like a superhero slugfest. But it's the thing that Daniel Warren Johnson does is he puts emotion within all of that fighting, and it's not just there's downtime also, and he has real loose concepts that he's working with that I think almost anybody can enjoy and get into and understand. And it can bring us all together, and that's what Beta Ray Bill is for me.
If you want to fall in love with the best wingman in Marvel Comics, Scourge. That's
my God, he's so cool. Yeah, great book.
All right, we've got Chuck Skills chiming in. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. He says my favorite of the year was Ultra Mega, along with We Live as a close second.
Ultra Mega was another one possibly on my list. Yeah.
Everybody says Ultra Mega. What's special about Ultra Mega to you?
Well, again, you have that. It's that kinetic style of artwork. It's very reminiscent of Kirby and comics from the '60s, but today, a little muddier. Probably some computer graphics in there. But if you like kaiju and Ultraman and that type of stuff, Ultra Mega is not. It has emotion. The main character doesn't really make it out of the first issue. We pick
They
up.
pulled a Game of Thrones.
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Ned Stark? What?
Well, it's the Ultra Mega. I'm not going to say it's like Green Lantern, but it gets passed on to other people. And Dan Herron, is that who? I can't even remember. I think that's who it is.
James Herron.
James Herron. Thanks. He's just a really, really good artist and a great creator out there. And again, creator owned. Gotta love that.
Dan Herron was a pitcher for the A's, man.
He was. I was actually listening to a game, a Dodger game, and they were talking about Dan Herron, who spent a year there. And it must have been stuck in my head just a little bit.
All right, well, let's throw it to the most controversial man on the panel, Chris from Comics Exposed. I know you're going to have something saucy for us. What spicy comic do you think has been the best of the year so far?
Let me just define it like this. There's two series that, whenever they came out, regularly, they were the first that I wanted to read, and they're both independent. So the first one was Beast of Burden that came out this year. I really enjoyed that. It was a limited series as well, obviously. And the other one that surprised me so far this year, and it's over with, I think there's another volume coming, was Stray Dogs by Tony Fleet, if I'm not mistaken.
Awesome.
Yes.
I was
awesome.
just
Genuinely on the art.
Yeah. It was. I mean, I was genuinely surprised by how much I actually enjoyed that and wanted to read every issue, and just wish I had it all in one swoop. But obviously, it was a limited series, so yeah, those are the ones that I just had to read as soon as they came out. So,
If
Stray
you told
Dogs.
me-
Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
you're making a Disney-style Lady and the Tramp comic, loosely affiliated with Silence of the Lambs, and maybe with some hints of Finding Nemo in it. I would have been like, no, thank you. But then you go read Stray Dogs, you're like, all right, that's a pretty damn good comic.
exactly.
It made my wife weep. It made her weep. That
wow.
book did. It hurt her so much finishing that series. She's like, I'm not reading another book in this again. I'm not reading a single comic of this series again. And she finished it, the miniseries. She said, I'm not coming back.
Yeah,
it's just too much.
No,
just
there's a
too
one
much,
shot. We're gonna have a follow-up one shot soon.
Nope, not for her. She don't care.
I'll
She's
tell you
done.
what, issues 2, 3, and 4, they ended so awesome that you had to read the next issue.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you not?
I could see the dread in her face after issue 4 because she knew she'd have to read 5. She's like, oh.
I personally got all the only on the first print, but I got all the movie horror cover variant.
Oh, yeah.
Homages, nice. Deceased really started it with those, and I thought Deceased knocked it out of the park, but the Stray Dog ones are like just as good, if not better.
And they are really collectible. They are like, everybody's coming and saying, do you have those? Do you have those? And it's like, yeah, we got them. You got some money?
In my PC.
No, we got them. We got them graded. Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah?
got some money?
Oh, okay.
You got some money? Yeah.
And
But,
another reason why Beast of Burden, I liked. There was a previous series several years ago that I enjoyed, and then I saw this follow-up series that came out, and it just reminded me of just good story, just good comics, great art, just a simple but intriguing and an interesting story that that had so much world building within just a short mini series as well. Both of those series just really kind of took me back to some roots, I guess you could say. So those are ones I really enjoyed.
Absolutely. That's why you read comic books. So you pick up something like Stray Dogs and you're completely blown away. You're like,
Yeah,
not expected.
exactly.
All right, let's see if we can get something from the big two. Josh, you cover Batman. Are we getting a Batman comic as your favorite of 2021 so far?
If I'm going to pick a favorite from DC, it'll be a Batman-related comic. So, yeah, I'll go with 2 from the big 2 that are ongoing series that I think people should read, and then my actual favorite. But if you're reading DC, you need to pick up Catwoman. I know it's not talked about a lot, but Ram V's doing just incredible work with it. He's doing a lot of world building. It's street level. It's what you want from a street level comic. There's grit. There's a noir vibe to it. He's got a great villain that he's created in Father Valley that has ties to the Batman universe and greater DC universe. So definitely check it out. For Marvel, I would say ongoing, like you need to be reading Daredevil. It's just been solid. It's had some ups and downs, but overall it's been solid. And I feel like it's hard to have an ongoing series that's consistently good, and he's doing a good job. As for my personal favorite, I'm going with the indie book. I'm going to pick That Texas Blood. It is by Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips, and it's worth it. Like just
it's
go
popular
pick
at the shop. It's popular
it's
at the shop for an indie. For an indie,
Yeah.
it's very popular.
It's a solid book, so I definitely say pick it up.
Well, what
crime
sold you
dramas,
on it?
though.
Is it the art? Is it the story? What are we talking about here?
Well, look, I mean, clearly I'm a Texan, so I'm going to get anything Texas related just because we're prideful like that. But it's a crime drama, and I kind of lean to things that are more crime driven and noir. It's probably why I like street level hero books. So,
absolutely, I'm a big fan of everything that Ed Brubaker has done. He's had a couple of graphic novels this year that have been really good crime dramas as well. So, Absolutely good stuff. All right, Doc, you salty bastard. I'm going to make you talk about something you actually like. What have you liked so far?
Oh, I got one already. X-Men Legends. It's
a good one.
It's every issue has been goddamn great. It's not dealing with Hickman era plant nonsense. It's
I like that.
It's back in the more of like the heyday of X-Men. It's handling all that stuff from the 80s and the 90s.
It's like reading 90s X-Men again.
It is.
Mean, yeah.
It's like they managed to do a like 0.5 issue between two other issues, and it's always solid. Both of the both of the arcs so far. The first one with Brett and Scott Lobdell, and Fabian, and then the second one with the Simonsons. Excellent work. And it fit perfectly into the continuity. It didn't require any retconning. It was like lost stories. Kind of like it's all of the best parts of like if they would have done like X-Men the Hidden Years better back in the 90s.
Did you ever read Savage Wolverine or Savage Hulk, where they took existing stories and just kind of fleshed them out in between? That's what this is like.
Yes. Savage Wolverine was a lot like that. Yeah. But I honestly, I just love all 4 issues so far of this series, and some of the variants have actually been really, really cool too. So I've picked up a number of those. But yeah, I'd say that is probably my favorite series so far, with an honorable mention going to Amazing Spider-Man.
Amazing Spider-Man has been solid. Doc, I personally like X-Men Legends as well, but there is a member of this panel, and this is, it's supposed to be a debate stream. Chris, tell him why he's wrong.
Because issues 3 and 4 were horrible.
Oh,
It was unreadable.
oh,
It was the sting was made even worse by the fact that I like Walt Simonson's art, but I couldn't get halfway through issue number 3.
You talking smack on Wheezy?
When Uel talks about Savage Wolverine, Savage Hulk, that was cool. I mean, that was fun. I remember that, having tons of fun with that. But man, I'm looking forward to getting past the Simonson stuff right now, to be honest with you, and seeing what we got next with, I think it's Larry Hama, and hopefully they can figure out some other stuff. So
it's Claremont next, and then it's Larry Hama, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know.
I thought it was
No,
Peter
no.
David, actually.
Peter David next, and then Larry Hama, and then Chris Claremont, I believe.
There's some things to look forward to on it still.
I'm gonna check it out.
But the thing about the title is there can be stinkers for some people, but they're going to, this is a lip service comic, so, or I don't know, maybe I used
Fan
the
service.
wrong one. Fan service is what I meant.
It is.
Too. Just this storyline for Chris.
Yeah.
I love the first 2 issues. That was classic 90s X-Men fun for me. But I never was just a huge X Factor fan back in the day in the first place. So, take that for what it's worth.
That's fair. I think if you didn't like original X Factor, you weren't going to like the Simonsons run on, or like their 2 issues on this series.
Or Wheezy's writing, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, because Walt kind of went with a very similar style that he used whenever he did a few issues on X Factor back in the 80s. Louise, wrote that same kind of little more fun-loving, family-oriented, where it kind of went back and forth between playful, jokey family and serious, battle. And sometimes that can be a little jarring for people. But I thought it felt very much like I was reading two previously unreleased issues from 1987.
That's cool.
Yeah, we've got Kenneth Dowling supported the channel. Thank you so much for the super chat. Best comic of 2021 now, Spider-Man Spider Shadow. Really surprised me how good this book is. Zdarsky is top notch. I need to check his Batman work. So this is the first in line of these new What If comics, Uel. What are your thoughts on Spider-Man Spider Shadow? I like the book. It's quite moody. The art surprisingly really fits it.
Yeah, I think it does too. I was just typing. I'm a big Pascal Ferry fan. I saw somebody not like it, and I can understand why. He's very digital and computer oriented, and always has been for the most part. And it's good, and it's moody, and it's atmospheric. But I could also, like I said, see why some people might not like it. But it's an excellent series. I'm really enjoying it. If you're a fan of What If, you're a fan of when Spidey was getting taken over by the symbiote, this is a great extension of that story. I like it.
Absolutely. He mentions Zdarsky's Batman work. And interesting enough, Josh, if that Red Hood story out of Batman Urban Legends was its own comic book, it would be in my top 5 or maybe even top 4. I think that story with Eddie Barrow's art is so absolutely solid.
Yeah, it's good. I think, the DC in general has played around with Jason and trying to I'm bad, and then he never really does anything bad. And Zdarsky actually, had him do some morally questionable stuff. We actually get to see him murder someone despite trying to be a hero / anti-hero, but he's doing great work over there. I wish he were writing the main Batman title. I think he would be a better fit for it. We'll get into that later. But I think he's just a good storyteller. And, I think in comics, you tend to have people that are good storytellers or good writers, and he fits both. So I love his work. And Spider Shadow, it's on my read list. It's 2 issues out right now, correct?
I think the 3rd one came out this week.
I think so.
Okay, I haven't been to the comic shop this week. It's been a crazy week, but it's on my reading list.
Absolutely. We've also got Old School Comics chiming in. Geiger, obviously Geoff Johns and Gary Frank over at Image Comics. Radiant Black, that would be Kyle Higgins. Beta Ray Bill, Daniel Warren Johnson. Berserker, Keanu Reeves. Matt Kent with Ron Gardy. Swamp Thing, that's Ram V and Mike Perkins. Joker, what do we got there? We've got James Tynion and
Guillaume March.
There we go. Catwoman is Ram V. Don't remember the artist. And then Batman the Detective, that would be Tom Taylor and one of the Kuberts. Doing the work of his life on that one.
Yeah,
it's Shadecraft.
Yeah. I don't know Shadecraft, but
that is a good
I know
list.
it's there.
I've been reading almost all those. I did drop off Radiant Black a little bit earlier than a lot of other people, but absolutely lots of solid stuff in there. And, Geiger's been an interesting one. There's a new issue this week. It definitely looks like quintessential Geoff Johns and Gary Frank. So, absolutely. Thank you very much for chiming in. Now let's get to, the saltiest guy on the panel. Are you saltier than Doc now? Pele, he's in a good mood. What's your favorite comic of the year?
Well, he decided to finally go to me after he gets everybody in the panel. Plus, he gets everybody listening. No, it's, I feel so blessed here. I get to weave my way through that. But nobody's even breathed a word about the one I'm picking. So it actually would have been Beta Ray Bill because it's just that good. It's the best thing that Marvel's made in probably since 2017. So in my opinion, it's fantastic. It's beautiful. It's well told, and it reminds me of the days of yore when the Simons when Walt was just knocking it out of the park in Thor. So beautiful, amazing, awesome. But I'm going to pick Nottingham.
Oh, nice.
Mad Cave, yeah.
Because it is so jarring. And they talk about, we're going to subvert expectations. No. Let me show you how to subvert expectations, boy.
Good point.
And it is good. It is well told. The art is fantastic. It's, my opinion, the best indie book of the year. Hands down, mic drop. It's incredible. If they don't make this into a series, then there's no justice in the world. You know, this
You guys
is
might have
really
missed-
fantastic.
Might have mentioned almost all of my top 10, and certainly Nottingham's on there. I love the art, like you mentioned, Pele. Everything's so exaggerated and over the top. That's what you're supposed
It's
to do with
beautiful.
comic art.
Yeah.
They're about to, swing a sword down, like the arm's enormous, and I just love it.
It's
so
it's
kinetic.
Princess Bride in a comic book, but with different characters. It is so good.
kind of thing to it.
Yeah, it is beautiful, and it's also well told. You probably noticed that I like comics with very, very expressive artwork, and comics that are the vision of one person. Usually when it's one person's vision behind the production and the writing and everything together, there's a more cohesive package involved with the comic. And I love that. That's just if somebody's allowed to express their full vision, then the book is probably going to be much better. And I just love that book. I love it. Stray Dogs also would be on my list. And Usagi Yojimbo is also in my top 5 because Stan Sakai is a legend, and he is the god of saying incredible things without even saying a word. So beautiful, and but if I had to pick, I'd pick Nottingham.
So we've also had a few events happen so far this year. I think what's the Outlawed? We've had Future State. We've had the King in Black. We've had Hellfire Gallo. Did Ten of Swords bleed into 2021? I think it did.
Yes.
Yes,
It bled all right.
There haven't been a lot of great events. If I were going to say there was been a standout event, I think a lot of people would probably agree with me, Doc. It's got to be the King in Black. It's the only one that really is delivered on what the purpose of the book was, and I think it did a good job.
I think so too. At least it addressed it. It wasn't an event that just was there to lead to another event, the way a lot of the other ones were. This one was its own. It was its own thing, and it accomplished what it set out to do, and I liked that. Would I have liked a few other things to happen? Sure, I would have really liked to see more exploration of the Captain Universe thing, but it still did what it set out to do, which was close the story on the whole Null situation and actually change the status quo for Eddie and Venom moving forward.
Yep.
So now he's now leaving it. He changed all the toys significantly and then handed them over to Al Ewing. We'll see what Al Ewing does with them, but I'm curious.
I think Dylan's going to be awesome going forward. I think he's really going to be an awesome Venom.
I'm just so goddamn tired of every one of these characters either having kids or legacies. I look, I hate fucking legacies. I do. It's a reason why I never liked DC. When I was growing up, I tried DC all the time, and it was all about the goddamn legacies. I hated it. That's why I stuck with Marvel. Because there were no legacies.
Well, at least Dylan's been around for years now, though. He had time to build up. He was introduced. He wasn't just kicked into being a hero immediately and everything.
I get that. I mean, but it's still the same thing. This is likely because you're not going to kill Eddie's kid. So there's no chance of Eddie's old status quo. That toothpaste can't go back in the tube.
No.
All right, guys. We're supposed to be talking about the stuff we like here. I'm not supposed to be. Jeez. All right, so I guess we're getting salty. Let's talk about the worst comics of 2021 so far.
We did miss one more great comic in 2021.
Oh yeah, do tell.
Last Ronin.
Yeah,
It was good.
It was really
I'm
good.
surprised nobody else has brought it up.
Still good.
And Maestro.
And
Maestro War and Pax was excellent. That was another good one.
Can't wait.
But let's talk about the worst of 2021 so far. I would like to go into some X-Men territory, but we do have Doc here, and I'm imagining he's going to go on a rant in the not-too-distant future. So I'm going to go over to DC Comics and Future State, and I'll say Future State, Superman, Son of Metropolis, and Future State Flash. have absolutely were two of my absolutely least liked comic books. They made John Kent look like an absolute buffoon / moron. They also made it look like his cousin absolutely hated his guts and wanted to kill him. And then in Flash, they made him into a serial killer again. Josh, I know you're a DC guy. Were you impressed with those comics?
If I'm being honest, I read like maybe 4 pages of each of them and then didn't touch them again. So
smart man.
Good man.
Yeah, I skipped. I typically read everything DC since we cover DC, and I skipped a good portion of Future State. My sanity could not take it. Yeah, no.
Well, that's what it was meant for, right? For you to skip it, right?
Yeah, you're supposed to zone out and jump off of DC.
2 months.
Pretty much.
It was supposed to end their publishing. That was the problem.
Oh, yeah. Well, they just sold too many.
We got Kenneth Dowling saying, I agree with Doc on King and Black, more on Captain Universe, especially the fight between Venom and King and Black, but Cates is the best event writer working today, and I don't like Legacies either. What? You don't like
Legacies suck, dude.
Whatever. Well, I do appreciate you supported the channel. I disagree on Legacies. Dick Grayson is maybe the best character in DC history.
Legacies are antithetical to the psychology of being a superhero.
What?
No.
Doc is antithetical to having a good streak.
You're becoming a superhero is an intensely egotistical activity. The last thing you're going to do is put yourself immediately in the shadow of someone else.
Egotistical, huh? It's not selfless.
No, it is an egotist. Now you can be acting selflessly, but it is still if you just wanted to be completely selfless, you just be a cop.
Man, you would really love an entire DCEU universe by Zack Snyder. I think he's the writer for you.
Exactly.
I think he feels about superheroes about the same way you do. We got Chuck Skill saying ninth win by Vidal. Yuck.
Oh.
Good call. All right, Doc, I was busting your nuggets. What is your worst comic of 2021 so far?
X-Corp #1.
Thank you.
Terrible.
That was the worst. That was the worst comic I have read in my entire life.
Jeez.
In a year with Children of the Atom #1 and X Factor #10, it says something.
It is the worst comic I have ever read in my life, and it ruined reading comics for me for 2 full weeks. I literally couldn't read any comic. I tried to pick something up. I couldn't. I couldn't get through a page. It didn't matter how good it was. I tried picking up like Invincible. I'm like, I'll reread this.
Yeah.
I know I like this. I love this. And I'm like, I got through a page and I'm like, no, I just put it back on my shelf and I'm like, fuck it. And I just couldn't do it. It was everything about that comic was wrong.
Yeah.
Every single thing. The only thing that could have been more wrong is if it literally would have been printed out of order, like the pages out of order. In fact, actually, you know what? The fucking story might have made more sense if they did print the pages out of order.
I'm with you, man. After I read that comic, I had all this plan and stuff I was going to do, and I don't think I read another comic until I read my stuff for the retro review, which I have to do. It was already planned. Otherwise,
you're like forced to.
After reading that first issue, I needed like a palate cleanser for life. Like,
yes.
I had to have something, not just another comic or I had to wash myself and wash my hair and just that was rough.
Blade Craver says, Children of the Atom #2 was the worst. Only time I read 1 page of a comic, and it made me drop the entire series. What VI did to Storm? Got a point there, Doc.
Yeah, he's not entirely wrong, but as bad as Children of the Atom #2 was, and #1 and #3,
it was the worst part about #2 was, Doc. It was the same issue as #1.
It was
exactly.
It was just the same comic. They just like now. It's not as bad if we would have gone back into 2020. X-Men #15 being the exact copy of X-Men 13 was pretty bad too.
Yeah.
Getting you to buy 16 being the exact copy of 14. Getting you to pay for the same art twice is pretty bad. But no, X Corp #1. It was actual comic trauma. I did not think it was possible. Like, motherfucker, just put it down. It's not that bad. Nothing can hurt you. It's just printed. Nope. X Corp #1 did that.
I'll buy it. All right, Pele. It sounds like you want to get in there. What do you say is the worst comic of the year so far?
It's got to be all the gala, all the gala issues. Just the event.
The event itself was worse than Ten of Swords somehow.
It was just, Jesus, God help me! I wanted to stab my eyes out. You know, it was so pretentious, and it was so obnoxious, and it was so just outrageously woke, virtue signaling idiocy that it made me cringe so hard that my nutsack, you know, was empty for like 2 days. My balls had shrunk up into my body and would not come out. So, you know, it was that painful. And
you turtled up, huh?
I did. I turtled right up. You know, I knew what it was. I knew what it was like to feel like one of those beta males for like 2 whole days after that, and after seeing that shit, and
just like sitting there, like poking, like, come on, get back out here.
Your wife walks in, and she's like, "Are you peeing sitting down?" Like, I have to.
I have to because my nukers won't drop because I read the gala issues. You know, and I like wanted to go buy a purse and all that, but no, it was absolutely terrible and awful, and no one should ever do that or read those and just forget that they exist.
Lade Kramer say United States and Captain America #1 hurt me bad.
Yeah, I mulled that over, but it still did not.
That's only 6 pages. Technically, there's an adventure story after it.
Yeah. It was just a part of the comic. The whole gala thing was just a signal all the way through every single one of those issues, and it made me hurt.
There were some, I would say, Planet-Size X-Men, the Sword issue, Hellions, and maybe Way of X weren't quite as bad as the rest, but it was so bad altogether. Just that was rough.
It was the most painful event.
Set the bar really low, and they somehow went under it.
Yeah. The whole event just caused trauma, and it's undersold. It underperformed even for what it was, and you know, it's going to be in my 50-cent bins for a long time.
All right. Well, Kenneth Galley, he's looking for a fight. That's all right. That's what we got the Comics Aficionados for. Part 1, West, Dick Grayson is his own man. I agree with you. Even though he has stepped in as Batman, he became Nightwing and is still Nightwing. Impulse, John Stewart, Green Lantern. Even Ben Reilly became Scarlet Spider. Well, what do you think about that? Do you consider Dick Grayson be a legacy character, Josh?
I consider him to be a legacy character. Like you, he is my favorite character. I always kind of describe Nightwing as the best version of Batman, and I think that's kind of by design. Now, if DC would just... What was that?
The emotionally stable or healthy?
Yes, very much so. I just wish DC would actually let him, like every time they get a trajectory where they make him his own and start letting him stand on his own, they revert him back to like, oh, I'm just the sidekick, and then bring in some other new sidekick that's got to be the new like second coming of Christ. It pisses me off. But yeah, no, I love Dick Grayson. I'm all about it.
Absolutely. And so he does have a part 2 here. Thank you very much, Kenneth Dowling.
Thanks, Kenneth.
You made a good point here.
Thank you,
What me and Doc are talking about are characters with the same name, Miles Morales. I think everyone just calls him Miles Morales. X-23 is Wolverine without the earlier title. Have a different name and be your own character. I will give Doc's wrong on this one because DC, Wally West wasn't Flash until not Hal Jordan, but Barry Allen was dead. You know, Kyle Rayner wasn't the Green Lantern until Hal Jordan was dead. Normally, when you extend to a mantle like that, it's because the original is gone. Marvel has a problem with, just anointing characters and be like, yes, we've got this many of this character now. I think they do it worse, Doc. No, wait, Doc's gone. I think they do it worse, Uel.
Well, the one thing I'll say is, though, you might not have the same name, but if you look at the Flash family, it's ridiculous. If you look at the Bat family, they did that when Detective was 2 a week or 2 a month. and I think Tynion was writing that one.
Yes.
They had the
Yes,
whole
it was
cast
Tynion.
of characters, and when you see all of them in one place, it's like, what are you doing? You know,
Yeah.
stop this. It's like an
Don't do it.
AEW stable, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's plenty of them. We don't need any more. And
Hey, Damien is a legacy character, and he's awesome. I love Damien. He's my favorite DC character right now. Is
I
Damien?
like him
Wayne.
too. I
He
think
is. He's
I don't
just-
have a problem with legacies. I'm just
No.
fighting right now. I'm continuing this.
Oh,
So, I mean, you know, and then when you get to Spider-Man, there's so many Spider-Mans, and I know most of them are alternate universe ones, but even still, they're all hanging out and having a party. And,
Spider-Man
you know,
seems odd, though. It seems like a certain, like, an event that would be a once in a lifetime to happen. Now you've got 8 Spidey characters.
it's all the time. All the time. Yeah, exactly. So there is a problem with it, but it doesn't have to be wiped out of existence like your Dan Didio either. I personally don't really feel like Robin is a legacy character or Nightwing, Dick Grayson, because he was the first of that character. I know he's more of a jump the shark kind of character. I don't know what we call that, but when you start adding in babies and stuff like that, like Dylan, you know, you might have jumped the shark. But every other Robin would be the legacy for sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
I've got to defend Damien for a second. I love Damien because he is just a little shit. He is
Greatest
such
Robin ever.
he is such a little prick, and you've really got to appreciate the balls on that kid. He is just he's an asshole. He knows he's an asshole, but you know he's going to do it his way. He's not going to back down, and he's just something about it. I admire that about him. Even though he's a little jerk, I admire that about him. He's not going to back down. He's going to be who he wants to be.
I'm not saying my complaint about legacy characters isn't that the legacy the character themselves is bad. I'm saying that them taking on the identity of an existing or previous hero is antithetical to who they are. They would not do it. They would try to find their own identity.
Yeah,
and
but
Damien is exactly the character
well, firstly,
that should be his own character.
he got dumped on Bruce's doorstep, so it's not like, you know, he was looking to make a new Robin in that situation, you know.
No, I get it, but
that was a night of passion that made
Batman is
that
bigger
sidekick.
than Bruce Wayne, Doc. Gotham
Damien?
needs Batman.
I'm not saying that Gotham doesn't. I'm saying that Damien, there is no way in hell that kid would have put on somebody else's 3 times around hand-me-downs.
He wouldn't let
See, the
anyone
thing
else
is,
be
like,
Batman. Are you
Yeah,
crazy? If
he
you read
won't
the
let
character-
anybody else be Batman.
I
It's
know.
his-
Damien
it
is
He's
is
the
such
only
a-
one that feels entitled to it.
I'm not
Exactly.
talking about him being Batman eventually. I'm talking about him being Robin now.
No. See, the thing is like he is going to own that. It's like he looks at Nightwing as a person that he has to best, and the best way to do that, and Tim and Jason, is to be the best MF and Robin you can possibly be. And I think he takes that as like, you know, his goal is to be that, and
His ego won't let him be
he will
anything
soon
else.
be the best Batman, you know, and on and on and on, you know. Have you read his regular series? Like, he's on this island, they're doing this whole battle royal type thing, and the Ravager, you know, Deathstroke's daughter, is telling him the ropes because she's been there, and he's like, fuck it. I'll just do my own thing instead. And he pays for it. It's funny. I like it.
But he was right at the end.
Mhm.
But in the end, he was right anyway. Okay, he paid for
Alright.
it, but
I watched Battle Royale too.
It's not
All
that
right,
bad.
Doc, we're getting back into the worst comics in 2021 so far. Who's left? Uel. You are the bright, shining light of the panel.
Yeah.
It's time for you to get nasty. I want a heel turn, baby. Tell
All
me
right.
about the worst comic of the year.
I don't think this is going to be a heel turn for anybody listening to this. Probably only Steve Orlando is going to be upset because Commanders in Crisis is the worst piece of shit. I mean, Vault and Scout is always out there and always possible. You know, Aftershock doesn't do everything great, you know, but Commanders in Crisis is tripe. The art isn't that good, and I don't know who you have to be to care about this other than, again, family members.
Oh, man.
People that have to see him when they come in the store, that type of thing. It was horrible. I mean, Perch has had on his show pictures of people over ordering that book. And I'm like, yikes. I hope you didn't miss the cutoff when you had to send them back.
I don't get it. He's written a couple of things that I don't think are bad, but I've never been so interested in Steve Orlando that I will go out and make sure that I got his book. And then I heard the rumors, or not the rumors, but the water cooler talk that maybe Commander Crisis wasn't worth the read.
It's not, no, because, all right, so Steve Orlando, I don't know if it's bisexual or what, but he usually writes gay characters because he is, okay, or that's what he's kind of like slated to do. So he's done like Midnighter for DC and all this other stuff.
Best work of his career.
There's this moment in Commanders in Crisis #1 where the fireman is kissed by the superhero. And it's supposed to be this big shocking thing, right? I guess for me, the reader. But what was upsetting was before that, there was this pandering about who is a bigger hero between the fireman and the superhero. And it's such clunky, crappy writing. I can't get past that to enjoy that kiss if I were going to. You know what I mean? Just bad. I can't
Steve
give a second
Orlando
issue.
ruined a romantic moment.
Well, I mean, these guys are going to, it's wow, these two awesome heroes, are gonna have this. I don't care, because anything that preceded it was so bad. I don't care.
Yep.
Ruin the moment.
Yeah.
Old School Comics is chiming in, and he says this super chat money represents but a small fraction of the money I save from letting you guys read bad comics and warm me off of them. Well, that's one of the services I do provide here on Thinking Critical. is I'm as honest as I possibly can be, even if I like the creator or whatever. I can only be as honest, and I'm glad you missed out on some of this stuff. Don't read Commanders in Crisis.
Yep. We shit on them, so you don't have to.
Anybody else read Commanders in Crisis? Is it as bad as you'll say it?
So I mean, I've got a personal relationship with Steve, mainly because I read the first issue. I didn't care for it. I haven't read it since. You're going to find that's a theme with me as we get to my worst. But when he was doing JLA, I was actually reviewing that book, and there was an issue where I said something like, God, come on already. Like, I'm sick of Steve Orlando giving me blue balls because they keep setting up stories and not delivering. And I will say, to his credit, he reached out and was like, hey, let's chat. And then he called me and had like a conversation, and we talked through the book and what he was going through. And I've had a lot of respect for him as a person since that, because it takes a lot of balls to reach out to someone that's reviewing a book and saying, like, you suck. But I'd also reviewed Midnighter, and I gave a great score, so maybe that helps a little bit. But yeah, no, I read one issue and I passed.
Yeah,
that is a smart thing to do.
100%.
But if you're starting a YouTube channel, you might want to review it in full.
As a YouTuber, sometimes you have to read things that you're aware that going in, or continue reading things that you're not enjoying. Darth Bobcat, yes, we did bring up Children of the Atom. We decided it wasn't as bad as X-Corp, but was still terrible.
Still sucks balls.
2 came up as specifically bad. Thank you for supporting the channel. We've got Kenneth Dowling. The end of Dark Knight's death metal is the worst event in 2021. I love Scott Snyder, but the result caused more confusion than it tried to solve. Everything matters. Ridiculous. I'm with him on this one, Josh. What an anticlimactic event. They've been saying when these Celestials show up, it's all over if you don't join up with the Batman Who Lolls. And it turns out they're just so impressed with Diana Prince that they are going to let us live.
Yeah, so I'm hot take. I'm not the biggest Scott Snyder fan as far as his writing goes. I think he's a little self-indulgent and tries too hard to be Grant Morrison and isn't Grant Morrison. We'll get to this when we start talking about the New 52, but I feel like the problem they had with the New 52 is that they didn't know what was or what wasn't continuity in terms of writing their characters, and they just blew that even out of the water when they did this. Like, everything's real, everything happened. Like, it's just a shit show right now.
And apparently Superboy Prime is so fucking powerful that they just have to, we've got to change the rules and everything because he's too powerful and he's going to kick our ass. So we're just going to make this wonderful place for him to live, and we'll worry about destroying everything later.
I thought that's been like the premise since Infinite Crisis?
Yeah, he punched time in the face, if I remember correctly.
He punched through the wall of reality.
Yeah. God.
Hey, it's why we have Red Hood right now.
Lane Kramer brings up there's also the linear verse. Yes, that was.
Well, it always has to be taken into consideration anytime we're talking about DC. The linear verse.
The times move slower. We already figured that out. You didn't really need to explain it with any type of, you didn't need to go into detail. I feel bad for Dan Jurgens being associated with that. And you are correct. That was lame, Lane Kramer. That was a lame ass attempt. Who else do we have for worst comic books of the year? We got Chris. Let's hear it.
I got like 3 seconds into Future State Gotham.
That was enough, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's one of the worst illustrated comics I've ever seen. It was unfinished.
It was so bad. So bad. And then
I think somebody could have wiped their ass and it would have been a better splash page.
Yeah, literal splash page. But yeah, that was really that's the one that stands out in my mind. There were several others that we've already covered, obviously, but that was I was just like, I can't believe that this made it to the shelf. So,
do you think you would have felt it would have looked finished if it were colored? Is that? I mean,
no.
I'm being serious.
No.
I mean, some people like Giannis or Milo Giannis.
I think it's Giannis Milianis.
Whatever.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't have worked for me either.
I mean, he is definitely stylized, and I could see a lot of people not liking it. It feels like it's not a mainstream comic, though, for sure.
Yeah.
Was not a big fan. You know what I also didn't like, Josh, was the cover. Why did Jason Todd have childbearing hips, and why was he like swaying them like he was going down the
I don't know. They're trying to make him a sex symbol. I got those baby making hips.
It's like, why is he so slender? And then
look, if we learned anything from X-Men 10 or X Factor 10? Murdering people turns you on. Come on. Come on.
That's what it is. This is like
murder. I'm getting horny.
There are sociopaths writing comics.
That was a bad one. I guess you're last, Josh.
I am.
Take all of your hated comics of the year.
No, I will say typically I don't mind reading bad comics because usually we have to discuss them. This year, I mean, I have a day job. I work 60 to 70 hours a week and then try to do this on top. So, and then I was building my website on top of it. So this year I kind of skipped on a lot of bad comics. I would say after reading X Factor last week, that made me drink. I told Wes. I kind of gave him shit about having me read it. And I was nervous to read this week's issue of X-Men. I was like, fuck my life, man. Come on. But we'll get to that. It wasn't so bad. But I would say X Factor right now, just because it's fresh. I hate this whole Teen Titans Academy thing. It's just
so
trying.
Bad.
It's trying so hard to be hip and cool and social media and Mr. Nightwing and all this bullshit. I'm not a fan. And then
but Tim shared on my never buy list.
Yeah. I read the first issue and haven't touched that since. And then I would say the one thing that I'm consistently reading is just the Ghostmaker backup.
So do you? I think the Punchline backup's worse than the Ghostmaker.
Well, yeah, because they both suck. One, Sam Johns should not be writing comics for one of the main two. She's not talented enough, and Tynion, I don't know. It's just Ghostmaker. So look, I think at the core of this, Tynion is the problem. So we'll just go with that.
He's trying to make some of those people work when those characters work, and they're not working. He's trying to push them. They're going to like these motherfuckers. No, we don't want them anymore. Please stop.
I'm holding back because I know we're going to get to Batman. That's why I'm holding back.
We're going to get to that one. And someone had brought up, we didn't mention Jason Aaron's Avengers run. How is it that there's been worse comics than the Phoenix tournament or that Age of Khonshu bullshit?
I'm telling you guys, it's just there to exist. And there are people that like it and buy it, and then there's the other people that just kind of skip it. I think we can get past this Jason Aaron run of Avengers, and it can be good again. So he's not doing too much harm.
Heroes Reborn was not bad.
Right.
It was my bag, but it was the second best event maybe of the year.
Yeah. Mediocrity is typical in comics, and
Well,
you don't shit on mediocrity. It's just mediocre, you know.
It's definitely Avengers is mediocre right now.
Yeah.
You know, I was just going to say that he managed to. I think it's more a testament. It's less a testament to how bad Jason Aaron was, and more a testament to how bad everyone else was to make Jason Aaron not on this list.
The X Office has made you forget about what Jason Aaron was doing on Avengers. Congratulations, that was a hard job, but you pulled it off.
Hey man, look at this. We didn't mention Ta-Nehisi Coates on Black Panther or Captain America.
I think because all of those had an expectation of being atrocious from day one.
This Black Panther was just boring.
It was just boring for me too. Even with all that really good art, I was just like,
Yes, that was the travesty of that. Was the great art. Yeah,
I think you're used to it. Yeah,
it's just forgettable nonsense.
The thing is by like the 10th. I'm sorry, but the thing is, by the 10th issue of Captain America, they gave it all up, and they didn't have good art for the most part. But in Black Panther, they still tried.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to say thank you very much to Sigma Comics for the $20 super chat. Please support Thinking Critical, Comics by Perch, and these guests. Their honest and fair critique of the industry helps take it into a brighter future, which helps us all. Well, thank you very much for the very kind words, and definitely thank you for supporting the channel. Really appreciate that. Shout out to Sigma Comics. Really appreciate that. Are we done with the worst comics of 2021? Did anyone else have any alibis? All right, we're done with that, baby. Let's move into this next topic. I saw this one trending on social media, and I believe it's probably because we saw Laura as Wolverine in X-Men #1. I refer to her as X-23 for the most part. All right, Doc, do you want to get your 5 minutes of hate out now, or do you want to do it later?
I'll do it now. My 2-minute hate. And
we're sorry, Tevye. We know that you love Laura as well.
Yeah, I don't care.
And this isn't shitting on Laura specifically. So
no, it's not, because Laura is a tolerable character.
Yes. Of all the Wolverine clones, she's the most tolerable.
Yeah. If
I like Gabby.
I want to throw all of them in the sun, but if I have to have just 2 left, it's obviously Laura and Logan. Jesus Christ, they can't even get their names right.
There's alliteration there at least.
Yeah,
as long as Dakin goes in first,
Dakin goes, Blonde Vereen goes, Gabby goes. Any of the other ones that I'm not thinking of, they go. All of them go now, but she's not Wolverine. We're back to this conversation about legacy bullshit, and having 2 characters of the same name at the same time is inherently brand confusion.
Exactly.
I mean, let's forget about everything else for a minute and just think about it. You're diluting your own brand intentionally. Instead of having 2 brands, you're having one brand that you are diluting the possibility of people recognizing, because now you're splitting loyalty. It's like having Coke and New Coke at the same time, but calling them both just Coke.
Yep.
It doesn't work like that. It is legitimately like having Coke and New Coke, but and everybody's like, yeah, well, we just want Coke. You have those hardcore Coke, New Coke enthusiasts out there somewhere, but none of them. They're not going to be the same. There's a ceiling, there's a threshold on how popular any of those knockoff Xerox characters will ever be, and they will never exceed the popularity of the original.
All right, Doc, here's what I got to say. Logan is old man Logan now. He looks cooler in a cowboy hat and a duster anyway, and Laura kind of looks she looks more sexy in that Wolverine costume. She wears the name better anyway. You should just have two brands: Old Man Logan and Wolverine being Logan.
No.
They tried
No.
that.
Are you on drugs?
Right. You tell him, Bird.
Sorry.
You tell him, Bird.
Sorry, a dog.
Even the bird thinks you're full of shit, Wes.
Yeah. Squeaky toy. I stepped on a squeaky toy. Sorry. And no, but
Oh, I
there's,
thought it was Bird. No.
that was a squeaky toy. And no, but look, they already tried that. They tried that for like 4 years while real Wolverine was dead. They brought Old Man Logan from the Old Man Logan universe and made him Old Man Logan in the 616 and made Laura Wolverine. They tried that. It failed miserably.
Yeah.
I still read
it
Old
did-
Man Logan.
Old Man Logan was good.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
the comic wasn't good, but it never got to the level that Wolverine's solo titles do.
Yeah.
Laura's title as Wolverine was
Tanked.
about the same. It was about the same as all of her X-23 titles
Yeah.
before and since. So all you did was lower the bar on a solo Wolverine book and not generate any additional sales for the Laura book.
But in the
That's-
long term, we've made the Logan brand, or I'm sorry, the Wolverine brand more inclusive to new readers.
It doesn't,
No.
but it doesn't
No.
actually translate into sales. You can create
Stop living in the moment, Doc. We're talking long term.
And
Even
t-shirts.
long term, you'd still be in the same situation. If she was, I don't know, Feral. I mean, obviously, there's already a character named Feral, and I think Rob
Talon.
Liefeld-
Call her Talon or something like that.
No, that's a
Alan's
DC
already in
character.
DC.
Yeah,
Comics.
that's already
Whatever.
DC.
Yeah.
And you could come up with a name for Laura that is her own unique name, that is more separated from Wolverine and Logan.
That's why Gabby's the best. She's got her own name, buddy.
Yeah, at least but she's
Honey
the
Badger.
most obnoxious.
That's right.
If you had given Laura Gabby's name, and so that Gabby doesn't and just Gabby didn't exist, it probably would have been, you would have been in a better position right now, at least with the, you could have even given her the same Wolverine's costume, and so she goes with the blue and yellow and he goes with the brown and tan when he comes back, and boom, now you did make everybody happy, but she gets her own name. The fact is that, and I mean, look, I'm just going to once again say it. It is antithetical to the egos of superhumans to copy and wear somebody else's name and always be perpetually in their shadow, unless their goal is wildly egocentric, like Damian, to be a better version of the character that they're trying to be than the other one was. If they're trying to honor it, they're doing it wrong.
You're the comic shops. Have you seen people that are on board for Laura being Wolverine? What is their point of view?
Wolverine wasn't before Laura became the main character. All New Wolverine wasn't necessarily like the greatest selling comic in my store anyway. I saw an increase on it, at least in the beginning. And personally, I didn't really have much of a problem with Taylor's run on it. At least, it was him in the beginning, right? It was pretty good. And I thought the art was solid also. This whole thing about the names, I think it's good to get people riled up about it, but ultimately it doesn't mean anything to me,
Isn't that the point, Chris? Is to cause conflict within the fandom and get people to yell at each other over something this stupid?
Sure, why not?
Doesn't it
Well, I
feel
mean-
like that's what we're being baited into having to pick a side and yell at each other over something stupid like this? She probably never should have been Wolverine to begin with.
No, this always confuses me, especially why Marvel continues to do this garbage, because you're missing opportunities to actually create and or build that character. and to create and or build a very loyal fan base without what Doc mentioned before, the brand confusion. I could not imagine, just to take an example today, I could not imagine still calling Dick Grayson Nightwing, still calling him Robin right now. I could not imagine doing that. Whenever there's already whoever else is Robin right now, whether it's Damian or whoever else. I'm not really familiar with all of that, but it's just ridiculous to me that Marvel that thinks that everything is just a title or a mantle to be passed around to whoever they see fit for the month and all that garbage, instead of actually truly developing characters that people seem to like, even in the current context of what we see right now, but they want to just appropriate the title. They just want to appropriate the mantle of what's been built before with the established character. And it's like there's no thinking forward, like was mentioned earlier. There's no future building. It would be one thing to me if characters died and then a new character took on the name and moved it forward. But whenever you have multiple Wolverines, multiple Spider-Men, all this other garbage that I see, it's just annoying, aggravating, and hurting themselves in the long run and hurting that character in the long run. As far as I'm concerned, I really wish it would stop. Please stop now.
I'm going to jump in. I know we got. Go ahead with the super chat.
That's fine.
I was going to say I'm going to follow Chris on this. I think publishers are making this decision because they're trying to get a quick money win, and it's not working. And I think publishers need to stop looking at short-term gains and long-term gains. And if you want to build a character up, because it looks like that's what they're trying to do, is like, here's this character, we're going to have to eventually tell different stories with a different character. If you want to build them up, let them just be themselves. Because inevitably, if you make a character Wolverine, or if you make a character Batman, or if you make a character Spider-Man, you know that the original is going to come back at some point. It's how our comics work. And at that point, they're going to get degraded. So whatever growth you do with that character, it's then kind of going to get walked back to a degree. But if you let them be their own, let them do some cool story. Like if she went in just as X-23 and kicked ass and, was recognized as being a badass, people wouldn't have any issues. And she would get to continue existing as X-23. And I get people don't like the name X-23 because it's her quote unquote, what were they saying, slave name?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, Wolverine was Logan's slave name. Yeah. Wolverine was Logan's slave name. It was on his dog tag, for fuck's sake.
This stupid analogy.
But it's true. I mean, that's their whole argument, though. That's their argument, though.
I think it is valid because that is their argument. Oh.
Yes, we mentioned it once. We don't need to scream it over and over and over.
Wait, are we talking about Boba Fett? Just joking. Just joking, guys. Just trying to
Wolverine.
Go ahead, Chris.
Wolverine's slave name would have been Weapon X. I mean, that's when he was unhuman or dehumanized. Like X-23 is what they're claiming is, for Laura. Okay, fine, get rid of that. But call Laura something else. Don't call her Wolverine. Keep her as Laura, or if she has to have a superhero code name, come up with her own superhero code name. Come up with her own brand. Come up with it. Nobody's like Jason said. Nobody's getting rid of Wolverine. Nobody's getting rid of Logan. There is so much of nobody's getting rid of Peter Parker. Nobody's getting rid of Thor in place of this other stuff, because there is too much too much built up on that, because they are their own characters. Take these other facsimiles and make them their own characters, tell their own stories, and move forward with that if you feel like you have to.
Well, apparently you see what happened with Wally West. He was Flash, built up his own legacy, more popular than Barry Allen in a lot of respects. Yeah. But as soon as Barry Allen gets reintroduced back as the Flash, he's an afterthought again.
Yeah, I mean,
they give him in his own name, his own mantle. He would have been able to stand on his own.
Yeah, they keep pointing back to the Flash family, saying, "Well, the Flashes do it." I said, "It's a bloody mess that the Flash had. The old Flash, Impulse, Flash, Kid Quick, all these other, Ed Fenton ad nauseum, all these characters, and you're like, this is ridiculous. Let's just, you want to copy that." You want to copy the worst example of name copying in the business? Sure, that makes sense. It's and that whole argument about it being his project name. The project name is terrible because of the horrible things that were done to him. Wolverine was Logan's project name. It was on his dog tag. But he picked it up and he made it his own. Why can't X-23 do that and make it her own like he did?
It's another day. Rip Phoenix Jones does have to say, imagine an X-Men book with Daniel Warren Johnson on, what's this one, Doc? I'm assuming it's
Writing and art.
writing on, on Wolverine. Only I wanted if it's completely divorced from the current X-Men stuff. Yeah, just like his Beta Ray Bill. Even the Thor stuff's really good right now, but yeah, absolutely. Let him do his own Wolverine book or something.
Oh, people are saying Weapon X was his project name. No, the Weapon X program was
the program.
Is the program because he was Weapon 10.
Yes.
And Weapon X, Weapon 1 was Captain America. So
Weapon Zero was Captain America.
Oh, okay, whatever. Yeah.
And the Weapons Plus program was created to replicate the super soldier serum. Weapon 10 broke off as its own project. Wolverine was one of the subjects in Weapon 10, and he was subject designate Wolverine.
Right. So that's his project. That is his name for him. His bad name or whatever. But he took his bad name and made something great out of it.
Yeah. Same way. Deadpool's name was his subject name in Weapon 10 when they turned him into a mutate, and all the other members of the Weapons Plus program that were part of Weapon 10 all had their own subject designate names that they've all kept on. Most of them. I think the only one that didn't was Maverick, because he was Agent Zero in Weapon 10 in the Weapon 10 program. So, but he went to Maverick, but he's also gone by Agent Zero at times.
All right, so Rip Phoenix Jones, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Miles has been Spidey for 10 years now. Can he go another 10? I think the thing with Miles is he's Miles Morales. That's what people call him. They don't call him Spider-Man.
Yeah, nobody comes in the shop asking for Spider-Man. They say, "Where's the new Miles Morales book?" You know, because they know if they ask for Spider-Man, I'm going to say, "There's Peter."
Exactly.
There's ASM right there on the wall.
And this is the problem with having more than one character with the same name at one time. Miles can never become even remotely, he will never become even 3/4 as popular as Peter, and because his name will never be synonymous with Spider-Man.
Right.
You will never, there will never, you've already created brand confusion, but if you gave him his own name, if you gave him Kid Arachnid or the Arachnite or something, whatever his name would be that was unique to him, he could grow into that and possibly, maybe, become as popular or more popular than Peter. But as long as he remains Spider-Man, he will never even get close to. Peter will always eclipse his popularity.
I think if they killed Peter Parker off and actually left him dead for 15 years, Miles Morales Spider-Man would end up being exceptionally popular.
They did it with Barry. And the minute Barry came back, Wally got pushed to the side. You say
that's
Flash,
what I'm saying.
Everybody thinks Barry.
To it. And he could be just as popular, but as soon as you bring Peter back, he's in the shadows. Yeah.
Well, exactly. Would it be racist if they called him Brown Recluse?
Stop it.
No, that was awful. Anyway, never mind.
All right, let's move on to the real Wolverine and get into the legacy of the New 52. That was all over the Twitter spheres and Facebook groups and all that stuff. The New 52 is 10 years old now. People look back on it. It seems like a lot of people have very strong opinions. Either they loved it because that's the time they maybe got into comic books, or they absolutely hate it. There are a couple of runs in there, I think, that are overall looked on very well. Josh, you said you want to talk about this. One of those runs is the Batman from Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, when we finally got those two together and they became just a superstar, creative pairing.
Yeah, I mean, I know I said Scott Snyder, isn't my favorite writer. I will say that their start, especially in the New 52, was pretty outstanding. I think it was the best thing you could hope for. The whole Owls, just the mythology behind the Owls now, it's done a lot for the Batman universe, and you had solid writing for that, and you had a great artist. And I think Snyder was containing himself, probably because he felt like he had to, probably because editorial was stepping in to contain him as well. But it was a good run, you know. And I think in general, I think with the New 52, you had two things kind of at play here. You had good stories that were being written well and executed well with great art. At the same time, you kind of had a lot of characters that were losing the core of who they were and what they had been for decades. And I think that's where you see some of the, you know, infighting coming in between these two. But it's a mixed bag. And I think we're talking about legacy characters and everything. I think the real problem that we're seeing is you have publishers doing new and different things to build a new audience or try to build a new audience. And they're doing that, but only semi-successfully, and then having to go back to try to rely on, you know, the people that have been reading comics for years or decades, and you're not serving both, and then you try to start serving both, and it's not a game you can win. You can't serve both parties within the same continuity and same storyline. But yeah, I don't have a negative outlook on the New 52. I don't know if anyone else has any opinions, but I thought Green Lantern was okay. Aquaman started off strong. You have a lot of smaller. Animal Man was fantastic. There was good stuff there. Going the Gotham route, Gotham by Midnight. Nobody read it. It was a short little book. It was excellent. But there's definitely good stuff there. I don't think you should ever knock or praise everything as a whole. There's always going to be ups and downs.
I think the problem with New 52 was that while all the best stuff was from their D list.
Yeah.
The tent poles of DC needed to be strong, and they weren't in New 52. Superman wasn't. Batman was okay. It did solid. But Detective wasn't. Action wasn't. Flash wasn't. And as a result, you know, what happens whenever you shrink your tent poles? Well, your tent gets smaller. Eventually, it just turns into an awning.
Are we talking about shrinking tent poles again, Doc?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
I
thought I already touched on that earlier when I was talking about the gala.
I'm going with the Gail Simone approach on this.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hey, let's chop down the tent poles because they forget it's these companies forgetting that growing their biggest brands should be their focus because it does pull up the other ones.
Yeah.
I mean, it legitimately does. I mean, you see it with movies all the time. The B and C list slate of movies that come out do better whenever the A list movies make more money. Same with books, same with television shows, same with you get people watching one channel because a couple of their shows are big. People leave that channel on, and the ratings go up on shows that they otherwise wouldn't watch. Same thing with comics. People try things. So whenever you try to build your B and C list, which is what a lot of New 52 was trying to do, they were trying to kind of create a little more equal level of success across their books. All they did was shrink their big ones and make the smaller books were well regarded, but it didn't help their sales. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right. Well, when I think of New 52 Legacy, you know, I think of good intentions.
Yeah.
Good intentions that perhaps, you know, potential that was not met, but you had good intentions from the start. And like Batman started out New 52, it just came out like a fucking bomb. It was amazing. You know, that issue, just to this day, people, you know, keep harking back to that being one of the best periods of Batman in the last 40 years. You know, Court of Owls. You know, you just have to say Court of Owls and people, ooh, you know. There was lots of good intentions all the way around, but I think that a lot of the issues were that just the personalities involved. There was too many chiefs and not enough Indians, and everybody wanted to, you know, kind of put their wanted to put their fingerprints on it and didn't want to go with a central plan. So, what do you think? What do you think, Josh? Is that kind of it?
Yeah, I mean, Dan Didio has even talked about this. I think it was in one of the Ink and Drink podcasts that he did, but he talked about how they pretty much went into the first year with a relatively well set plan. I know we're seeing some difference of opinions from creators, but the first year they had like a solid plan of what they wanted to do, and he talked about how they wanted to come in and make things just a little, I guess, edgier, because that was the trend of what people were kind of gravitating towards and what we were seeing in more mainstream media, television and film. I think after that first year, though, they kind of lost their way. Like, they probably should have taken a little more time to plan it out a little bit better, had an idea of where they wanted to go. And I think, Wes, you mentioned it. It was either you or I think you and Perch in your video. They took on too much. They bit off more than they could chew. It had too many titles and, didn't give titles enough room to breathe. And
they weren't able to kind of stick with them. And, Eclectic Andrew is talking about it here with this $20 super chat. Thank you so much. Very generous in supporting the channel. And he says, what I missed the most from the new 52 was the diversity in the lineup. Vampire, Animal Man, All-Star Western were all fun reads nowadays. Although I love Batman, it's too much of the Cape Crusader and very little else. Yeah, that was there was probably too many titles, but at least they were taking some chances with new things. But they really didn't give a whole lot of things enough time to really hit, other than really Animal Man, I guess.
They don't give it time, and they need to do better with their marketing. I mean, like, I think we talked about it recently with Hawkman. Hawkman, if you talk to people that were reading it, they were talking about how great it was. So if you went to DC, you didn't see any publicity about it anywhere. If you got a book that is a good book, and if people give it a chance, they're probably going to read it, put some money into it. And I know that's easier said than done, but at some point, you've got to try to put money into building other things up. Otherwise, you're not going to build them up.
And everything will be Batman.
Oh, everything's going to be Batman. And then everything's going to stop selling as well because there's too much Batman, too much sucks. It's not what everyone wants. Everyone wants this take or that take. And I could spend an hour talking about this. So.
Absolutely. Perhaps we'll do that. I want to get a Batman panel with you and a couple other guys just to talk about some stuff. But thank you very much to Eclectic Andrew for supporting the channel. Really appreciate that. And Pele, another book that just came out recently. It was different than what DC normally does. The Last God from Philip Kennedy Johnson. Mm-hmm. Fantastic story. Never promoted it.
Oh, God. It really chapped my ass because I promoted the hell out of that book. I said, okay, guys, we need to push this book. I want to sell it. I want them to make. I want to make this a success. We really need to get this out there, and we did. We sold it like gangbusters. We were like one of the top 20 stores, 25 stores in the country selling that book, and I had everybody that I could get on it, and it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic series. I enjoyed it, loved it. It was my comic book series of 2020.
It's crazy. They're doing cool stuff. They had like a source book where you could play D&D with the characters and adventures.
It was fantastic. It was what I imagined that a fantasy series could be if it were done properly and it was pitched by a major publisher. But it did well, and I think it did well enough where they're gonna keep going on in that vein. But it took a lot of effort. It took a lot of work by independent stores to really get it out there. And, I worry because, maybe that's what we have to do. Maybe that's what we have to do as shop owners and as shop people, direct market people, is if we believe in something, we need to just go balls to the wall and we've got to put it out there. Because they're not going to. Because Marvel and DC are just not going to do it. And the indies are a lot better at it, but Marvel and DC aren't going to do it. They're going to try something out every once in a while, but they're not going to put the money behind it. And if we see something we love, we need to really take it on as a passion project and push it forward.
And speaking of New 52, Kenneth Dowling, thank you so much for supporting the channel. I know I've said this over again. Apologies for being repetitive, but the only thing I like from the New 52 is Batman Court of Owls, my number one Batman story. Certainly left its mark. That's a lot of people's number one Batman story. And that's like the last time that a Batman creator created something like new, the Court of Owls, that will probably stand the test of time.
Yeah.
We'll get into the same the James Tynion stuff. I think some people might disagree on this one, but I know I had to step out there for a minute. What are your final thoughts on the New 52 and the legacy? It feels like it's probably more derided than it probably deserves. There were some really good things in there. I think Geoff Johns' Justice League run, the Batman run, the Green Lantern stuff, Aquaman was pretty cool. Animal Man, Swamp Thing. There was some pretty dope stuff going on.
Oh, there was really great stuff. We opened up just before the New 52 started, and when it did, man, it was busy. And I mean, I was selling out a Hawk and Dove by Rob Liefeld, if you can imagine, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And not like, Major X selling out, nothing like that. It sold out. And some of those comics were hot. We had like high hopes for a bunch of them. Wonder Woman did really well for us, but it was too much. And after the first year, you could see the fatigue setting in with a lot of people.
Well, the continuity is the big problem, right?
Yeah.
You start condensing everything, and all of a sudden the Teen Titans have never met, and you're removing entire story arcs that are perhaps the best in the history of the company.
All of that. And not only that, but that was the first time. Well, it wasn't the first time. I've seen it in the comic store all my life, but old timers were like, I'm out. This ain't it. And then I saw somebody in chat say something about Shazam, and any old timer that was still around and they saw that Shazam, they're like, I'm out,
Yep.
and not everybody sticks with the changes as they're coming along. And
should New 52 have been its own Ultimate Universe? Where you had an alternate DC universe of maybe 10 to 12 titles that was the New 52 universe, and then you had your core line still going?
No, I don't think
that would have been too much.
I don't think that was the way to go. I don't know if they were like looking at now, then they might have started the universe but kept Batman or Detective Action and Wonder Woman, in its own little thing. The stuff we like, and then everything else could be changed and nobody would really care about it. But we might not have got Court of Owls that way. So I guess it just depends on how you look at it. I think overall, these people talking about it 10 years later and congratulating themselves can F off. I mean, it wasn't really so imaginative to start over series. You know what I mean? Scott Snyder, wow, he went from Detective Comics to a Batman #1. Woo. You really thought outside the box there, buddy. Animal Man starting over again. Woo. You took your Vertigo writers and you put them on Swamp Thing. Big deal. I mean, wow. You take all these 90s people like Bob Harris and Scott Lobdell, and I'm sorry if you guys like them, and you put them on DC Comics of today. And you got Red Hood and the Outlaws with a slutty Starfire screwing everybody. Bravo.
I think my biggest objection to the New 52 was incorporating the Wildstorm characters in.
What about making Batgirl walk? I mean, Oracle walk. I mean, nobody liked that.
Well, see, I don't give a shit about the DC characters. I
That's
do love
true,
the
but,
Wildstorm ones, though.
Yeah. I hear you. The Wildstorm. I mean, Jim Lee had to get a payday somehow out of it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he got his payday when he got bought in the first place.
Well, he got another payday.
Yeah. I guess he
is
needed
the
to
biggest.
keep his.
Is the biggest disappointment Grant Morrison on Superman? I think people probably thought that was going to be the rejuvenation of the character.
I think people were expecting All-Star Superman again, and instead they got, what the hell is this?
Edgy Superman. Injustice Superman, right?
There were some okay stories on there, and there are, if you look back on it and you kind of do some comparisons of other Superman books, there are some things that you can pull out from there. But unlike his Batman, it was continuity based for real, whereas this was just some guy in t-shirts and jeans. Yeah.
Not the greatest changes of all time. Does anyone else have any alibis or final thoughts on just the legacy of the New 52 after everybody was chiming in on how innovative it was this week?
The only thing I was going to say is I know Gail Simone tweeted that, I mean, there was a sales bump when it first came out, but she also mentioned that there was a sales bump from other publishers. Uel and Pele, did y'all see that as well?
Marvel was doing really well
Yeah.
for us also.
Yeah.
The Marvel Now and all the movies, and like if there was ever going to be people coming in because of movies, it was definitely during that Avengers time. And Hickman on Avengers, he had a hot run on Fantastic Four that finished up. Jason Aaron, people weren't as sour on him at that time, you know.
Oh, I was.
All right.
All right.
Because he was already breaking Wolverine.
See, this is what annoys me so much about all this is I used to complain that why don't they make the movies in continuity with the comics? Well, now they've done it, but they've done it the worst way. Where they said, okay, we're going to make the movies in continuity with the comics. We're going to make the comics in continuity with the movie. What? Uh-oh, that's not what I wanted.
So they put a helmet on Captain America.
Yeah, they tried that whenever they did the Avengers. Because remember, when they launched Avengers World, it was supposed to be an MCU-centric book. It was supposed to take place in the MCU. It was going to be their way of capitalizing on the Avengers movie. And then within 10 issues, it was already in... They were already trying to incorporate it into the 616. And we're like, wait, hold on. What the hell's going on?
All right, Doc, that's another conversation.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Let's finish up the New 52 stuff before we jump over to Marvel. Thank you, Eclectic Andrew, for the super chat. Azrael's run of Wonder Woman made me a fan of the character. New 52 served as a formal entry point into comic book fandom, and that's the thing that I think a lot of people need to keep in mind. Even if you hated the New 52, that's somebody's first comics that they ever read. It's the way that they remember the characters, just like when Pele was reading Batman, back in the 70s. That's the way they remember those characters, and so it's somebody's entry point, and they absolutely love it. So
can I there's one really quick perspective. Everybody was crying about Peter Parker was going to die in the Ultimate Universe. I was like, well, so what? It's not Peter Parker. It's just that Ultimate Universe one. But again, same situation. You have to realize that was somebody's first Peter Parker. Miles Morales might be someone's first Spider-Man, and it kind of plays in with that whole legacy bit too.
Absolutely. So thank you all so much for supporting the channel. Let's move on from the New 52. We've got some new Marvel stories that debuted this week. We got X-Men #1. We've got the first issue of Avengers World War She-Hulk, and we also got the prelude to Sinister War. So you read X-Men #1, Josh. Are you going to keep reading it? It was better than I thought it was going to be.
So I read all three. X-Men, it was solid. I'll probably check it out. I don't know if I'm going to be like putting it at the top of my read pile, but it was not bad. It was fair. I did like. If we're going to go with the three, I enjoyed Spider-Man. I don't know if someone else will have different opinions. I haven't been reading the modern day Spider-Man. I will probably check out more of it because it seems like Nick Spencer has a solid story that he's setting up. So I'm intrigued. Avengers. I'll just leave it at that.
That's so
That one
bad.
was this fun. What were thoughts of the shop, Haley? What were people excited about?
X-Men #1, it sold really well, and people were positive overall. They were positive overall. They were like, "Oh, well, this does not suck," and that was important. It did not suck, and there is promise, a bit of promise for the future. That's what they all want. And they weren't happy with the relaunch. Nobody likes the new #1. I don't care what Marvel says. Nobody likes the new #1s.
26 covers.
Nobody cares about that shit anymore. This is not 2019. People are done with that. And some of the covers sold well. I didn't even bother beyond just the ones that we thought looked cool. If they wanted a specific cover, they needed to let us know because I wasn't going to just go ham and get everything. Mm-hmm. So, it's just, that time is long gone. Shit doesn't happen anymore. But that went well. Yeah, X-Men #1 went well. And that was the #1 selling book of the week. So.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. What did you think of World War She-Hulk? Josh kind of hinted at it.
God.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Pele, sure.
Oh, God. Yeah, let me just weigh in. No, No. Everybody laughed at it. It was a laughing stock. It was cool for everybody to kind of like, look at this, and hold it up and laugh and get a good laugh, throw it back on the rack. You know, it was comedic value, and I don't think that's what they intended. But to as a meme, it did really well. But it's not selling as a comic book.
Was not a fan myself. We'll get back to these opinions. We got Jordan Fugate, also known as Jordan Fugate. Really enjoyed Spider-Man. Looking forward to Sinister War and seeing how Spencer wraps up his run. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We've also got Kenneth Dowling, basically chiming in on the same thing. I haven't been into Nick Spencer's run, but Sinister War does have me intrigued. Should I pick it up? Uel, should he pick it up? You got the hat on.
I've been reading. So I got to admit, I haven't read this issue yet. I'm doing work, people.
Jeez, you work at a comic shop. Your work is reading the comic.
No, my work is pricing comics and pressing comics.
What if somebody asks you, is it good? Were you just
tell them, Pele? Tell them what I'm doing, God.
It's fair.
There's a lot of shit going on.
What? When a comic doesn't sell, I got to read Fight Girls, so I can let you know if it's any good. I don't have time to read. It was a weekend read. I can't help it.
Was Spider-Man 70 any good?
Yeah, it was great. It was my favorite issue of the week, of course. I'm really looking
fantastic.
Forward to it.
Yeah,
No,
I mean, we ordered.
They've been doing these backups where Doc Ock is collecting collecting his buddies, and the Sinister Six. So we've been, it's been like a 1-page or 2-pagers at the end of the regular story. So it's been something we've been looking forward to. It's classic Spider-Man stuff, and it looks like Nick Spencer. I hope it doesn't feel like he's pushed out. I hope this story is at least a good ending, and I can read it from there. But going forward after this storyline, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel.
No, it's done really well for pushing old appearances of the Sinister Six from the back issue bins. It's done a really good job with that. Yeah, no, the annual one.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we had a 2.5 of that. It is gone now. So it sold very briskly after the Sinister Six came back. It was coming back. So, when that word dropped, that book went. So
cool.
I was happy.
I did want to ask you, this artist that they have, his name is Federico Vicentini. He's not been a normal Spidey artist. I think maybe this has been his third issue. What do you think? Because I feel like he's got like some Sean Gordon Murphy to him. Not quite on that level yet, but I thought it was like pretty cool.
Yeah, I could see the reflections there. I think I thought it was solid art. I mean, I feel like if you're gonna have a good book, good art doesn't hurt. But I was impressed with the art. I thought it was good. I enjoyed the story. I was invested. I liked the designs of the characters was solid. I mean, again, I haven't been reading the modern Spider-Man, so I can't really compare to what came before.
Before it was Ryan Otley and Patrick Gleason and Mark Bagley.
Yeah, I mean,
some heavy hitters.
Yeah. I didn't mind it, so I don't know if you want to jump to anyone else on this. Just since
I just wanted to speak your opinion since you hadn't been reading it. Like I was like, nobody knows who the guy is, but I think it fits it pretty good.
Yeah, no.
Ask Doc about his rug pulling. Ask Doc about Spencer's rug pulling, Josh. That's the only thing we're worried about at this point.
Okay, I'll have to ask him about that. I will say that when I was reading it, I felt like Peter Parker was Peter Parker. So I think sometimes with artists you don't get the characters that I guess they're acting, quote unquote, doesn't come through, and I thought you got that there. I thought there was a sincerity with the character, so that already kind of endeared me to the artwork.
Kenneth Dowling said Spider-Man is my number 2 favorite superhero. Man, you and Doc have everything in common nowadays. Do the panel real quick. Who are your favorite Spider-Man writers or favorite runs?
David McElhaney.
David McElhaney.
Yep.
What's your answer there, Uel? You got the hat on.
I'm gonna say probably like. Oh, that's nice. I'm a big John Romita Jr. fan, and his early days in the early 200s. My favorite storyline, though, is the introduction of the Black Cat. She's super sexy. Not the greatest art in those Jim Mooney issues. there's a bunch of different ones. I love the Ross Andrew, and you can't go wrong with Steve Ditko, obviously. There's certain things like the drug issues with Harry Osborn taking pills, and those are, they don't have the comic code on them. And Gil Kane does art, so there's so many. Probably, if I had to stick with it, though, probably during the Ross Andrew years are my favorite.
I really like the Todd McFarlane illustrated Spideys, but I do not like the ones he wrote.
Oh, you don't like the Spider-Man series from the 90s? From the, it started.
I went back and there was a sale on Comixology, and I bought like a bunch of volumes of them. And I was like, turns out I don't really like Todd McFarlane writing this comic. I like him illustrating it. So that's just my thought. What are your thoughts, Chris? What's a favorite Spider-Man writer or run that you got?
Hey, sorry for the distraction earlier. Some people were in the chat were talking about Moon Knight, and I recently got this from Aaron Lepresti off of his YouTube channel. That and Doctor Doom. But as far as Spider-Man, yeah, I really enjoyed. Writing wise, the JMS run sticks out to me. I wasn't into Spider-Man when I was younger. Though I did like the Todd McFarlane era of art, especially, but I also liked whenever it's all about art for me for the most part. I mean, for the writing, JMS is the one that really sticks out to me. I can't think of anybody else, honestly. But I love the runs of art that Todd had, that Eric Larson had, that John Romita Jr. had. That's just more my era. In my time, so I know that makes me a young buck, probably among some in this group and all that jazz. But that was just me during that time.
No, that was the David Michelin era, with Todd, and then Eric, then Bagley. And with Bagley's first
Bagley
time around on Spider-Man, and he stuck around for fucking ever. And now. He also got a killer endorsement or
contract. Yeah,
no,
contract
it wasn't
huge.
It wasn't really that. It was the real money was in the merchandising. They were going to use all of his art for all their Spidey merchandise, especially in the early 2000s, post Ultimate Spider-Man, when he came back and did his second run, and that's where he made serious bank.
And there's some beautiful statues of that era too.
Well, that was in the era where Spider-Man's merchandise was outselling all of DC combined.
Wow.
Like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, everything DC did combined didn't make up what Spider-Man's merch was selling. And almost all of it was Mark Bagley. And he was getting, some decent money out of that. So yeah, he there's a reason why he's been so synonymous with Spider-Man for so long. But yeah, David
all right,
Michelin
Doc, well,
did
these
that.
three stories, which one are you most interested in?
Of the three that came out this week?
Yes.
I'd have to say Spider-Man.
Sinister War is going to be good.
Sinister War, I've really enjoyed Nick Spencer's run to this point. We have a video coming up on it, and it's great. I've really enjoyed this. I thought it was a great setup. It was a good bridge issue between the end of Chameleon Conspiracy and the start of this to reestablish a lot of the B plots and C plots that had been going on. And it looks like we're going to get a very good tie together of everything that Spencer's been doing to this point. The setup for it looks like we're going to get a grand finale in this series. I don't know if it's rushed because of his early departure, but I know it looks like he lined up everything to get it good. Now we just got to hope he doesn't pull our rug out.
Yeah, that's what scares me is the rug pull. I'm like, oh God, this could be so awesome, but it's like it's like Lucy with the fucking football, and you're like, this could be awesome, but am I gonna be flying through the air and busted my ass again? We'll see.
We do have a question from Eclectic Andrew for Doc. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Question for Marvel All-Father Doc. I'm currently going through trade paperbacks of Uncanny X-Men, and I'm now on Fraction's run. Started out all right. What are your thoughts on Fraction's X-Men run?
I don't like it. Fraction took over for Brubaker. I have never thought Matt Fraction was a terribly good writer. I thought he was always eminently mediocre. That was wildly overhyped. I think.
Tell us what you really think, Doc.
I think he did a lot of damage to the X-Men during this arc. Now, granted, there were a couple of decent stories. I don't know whether or not he wrote Age of X, where you get to that part. That was a pretty good story arc, as well as the Necrotia event. That was also pretty good. But I feel like that was kind of at the decline portion of X-Men, right around the time Brubaker left and Fraction took over. That's right around where X-Men really started to decline. And there's a reason why it ends up, for the first time ever, getting rebooted at 544. He took over at around 500.
That's not the reason, though.
Well,
Kieran Gillen took over, and then it got canceled also. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, Fraction drove it into the ground. Kieran put a bullet into it.
I thought it was pretty good. I thought the San Francisco stuff was pretty good.
Anytime you send your superhero team to San Francisco, so
it does.
Well, I mean, the X-Men can hang out there. It's fine. But that story, the one that turned me around on Fraction, because I was kind of poo-pooing him, but the story where Magneto brings Kitty back to Earth, that was a damn good story. But it was the backup that I really liked. I don't know. The San Francisco story where they're all hippies, that was a pretty good one, too.
Yeah, I mean, during that era, I very, very, very much preferred the Mike Carey X-Men Legacy book. And that had previously been X-Men adjectiveless. I thought it was a significally better book than
I thought it looked good, but Carey is like Steve Orlando for me. He just bores me,
Sometimes,
can't do it.
All right, fellas.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you very much to
Some other day.
Andrew. Really appreciate you supporting the channel. We have to get back on track. We got to talk about James Tynion's Batman. Josh, friend of the channel, he wrote a review of a Batman comic. You got a shitstorm started out on Twitter. People were mad. They were angry. They were yelling at each other in emojis because you are of the opinion that James Tynion's Batman might not be the greatest run of all times.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Shocking, right? No, I think one of the things that really got the shitstorm going was I said, I'm getting the feeling that James Tynion does not like Batman. And if you've read his Detective Comics run, and if you're reading this Batman run, I feel like it's pretty evident because all you're seeing
is beat a lot.
Yeah. And it's not even like a hero's journey of let me get beat and build myself up. It's let me get beat and have some crony come save me. Harley Quinn, Ghostmaker. Like, I don't know. And even just outside of that, like from a character standpoint, I don't feel like Batman is Batman. He's openly taking in known murderers as his sidekicks and kind of pushed his sidekicks to the side a little bit. And then from a writing standpoint, the stories are just okay. And then the writing itself, I think, is mediocre at best.
So does it feel like the Batman writer is trying to find somebody to replace Batman in the Batman comic?
It feels like the Batman writer is trying to bring his own stories in to the Batman comic so he can have his own superhero comics lines thanks to the boost of Batman.
No, it's working. He's one of the hottest writers.
Agreed. Like it's selling. You can't deny that. And I've read.
And if you say anything bad about James Tynion's Batman on YouTube, you are asking for a shitstorm. People come after you with knives. They're so upset about it.
Look,
you're one of them, right? Aren't you one of the ones screaming from the rooftops that this is one of the best Batman runs ever?
Huh? No. No, it's better. I was just excited that it's better than Tom King. But, it's kind of like, microwave lasagna is better than dog shit. It's still not great, but it's microwave lasagna. You can eat it. You put a little extra Parmesan on it, it's not bad, but it's not, it's not even Olive Garden, which is what I would call Snyder,
You don't think
But-
Tynion is at least Olive Garden?
No, he's fine. He's like, I wouldn't, get a couple breadsticks, he's okay, but he's not even Olive Garden, he's
I mean, I think he's at least like a claim jumper or
Fazoli's?
something.
He's a Fazoli's. I'd put him up there with Fazoli's because that's also frozen. That's also frozen pasta. But it's not.
Made to order.
It is. It's warmed up to order. You can eat it. And it makes a poop. But it's not. It's not. It's not all that in a bag of chips. But it doesn't suck. It's readable. It's mildly enjoyable. But Josh is 100% right. He's getting the shit kicked out of him, and he's not kicking the shit out of anybody, and it's annoying. He's not calling upon his friends. He's not calling upon his lifelong allies. He's calling upon the serial killer, with the funky hairdo, and she talks like a valley girl, and they're trying to paint as a great hero now when she never was. Okay. She had a turn from hardly had a turn from being a bad girl to being a hero. She's trying it on, but he still can't forget the fact that this is a woman that killed little children for sport. I'm sorry. I know that a lot of these woke people like the redemption arcs and everything like that, but this is just, she's going to need a lot more than that. What's happened so far before she's out of the hole. And, but just getting the crap kicked out of himself and, it's all right. It's all right. It's part of my strategy to lose. No, it shouldn't be part of your strategy to lose. It should be winning should be your strategy to win. For God's fucking sake!
Comic Boom couldn't disagree with us more on Batman. Tynion is
really
doing a fantastic job. I don't think he meant Doug. Best story since Court of Owls and best new Rogues Gallery of any current hero. All right, Uel, those are big words, and people seem to love this story. I don't get it personally. Do you understand what they love so much about it? I think it's the art from Jorge Jimenez.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Personally, if I look at all my consecutive issues of Batman that I have read, and the main title, not a miniseries, not a one shot, not an annual, these are my favorite Batmans I've ever read. And I think it might be because of the art. But no, I'm enjoying reading it. I don't read the backup story, well, much at least, but I just like it. I don't know what it is about it. I'm not the biggest Batman fan, so maybe what Josh is saying is why I like it. I like these other characters. I like the fact that Oracle's awesome again, and that things are being funneled through her. It reminds me of, the Bat family back when I actually read like Birds of Prey and things like that. But I was always reading the other titles, not the Batman title, so I think it's kind of, in a way, it's written for me. It's one of those guys, I'm a periphery Batman fan. And so that's the reason why I am actually liking it. And then the art is scintillating.
The art is absolutely fantastic.
I will say, like, Uel's right. There's definitely some good stuff in this run. I mean, I think of the scope of what he's doing with the Batman family, and it seems like James Tynion laid out these plans. They're solid. He's doing good work. He's got the Bat family is actually speaking to each other and working together, and we haven't had that since the New 52. So that I appreciate. But when you look at his arcs, like, dear God, they're. I mean, you had the designer arc, where the whole point was you had this villain that came in that had the best plan, and then you find out, no, it's actually the Joker, which is supposed to lead into Joker War, and then you skip the entire process of Joker taking over the city. You literally skip the entire story and start with the end where Joker has taken over the city and you have to stop him, and then you spend, 4, 5, 6 issues of, okay, well, we have to stop the Joker, then you stop the Joker. And then you have this new status quo, and then you go into this next arc that you're going to just skip over the details again and be like, well, this is where we are now. There's no like repercussions or aftermath. Then you get to Ghostmaker, which was another like generic, this is a villain from my past that you've never heard of. He's better than all of y'all. He's way too dangerous. Don't get involved. Oh, by the way, I know you just killed dozens of people, but let's hug it out and be friends. I don't want to fight anymore. And now it's like, oh, hey, you're my best chum. Come work with me. And by the way, I can't handle this. I need you to save me. Like,
there are leaps. You're right. Leaps in time, leaps in logic. Even punchline. I mean, the idea of like someone, getting people on her side because of podcasts is kind of cool, but
yeah.
Is it really realistic?
Yeah. I mean, how long does it take to really build your podcast? Wes?
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of how many
Well,
Kenneth Dowlings are there? You know what I mean?
But she builds up her career talking about the Joker, and supposedly she gets sympathy in Gotham. How many people is Joker murdered in Gotham? I just don't see the people jumping to her side.
You don't want to think about the Punisher's kill list, Well,
nobody's saying that they made like a podcast and everyone is on the Punisher's ideology. I don't think you're supposed to relate to him.
Right. Well, people will though. If you're
yes,
if you're
there
a
are some
voice,
people that think that that you can't go far enough. We do need to talk about Kenneth Dowling. He did send out a $10 super chat. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. One thing about Tynion's run I don't get is he took away his money because it prevented him from telling good stories. No other writer has ever had this problem, not even Tom King, but there is something off in it. What do you think, Chris? Why did they take the money away from Bat? He's no longer a billionaire now. He's a millionaire.
I have no idea. That was one of the stupidest things I ever heard of. And I don't understand why if I'm not mistaken, Tynion was the one responsible for that, or primarily responsible for that, which seems kind of odd to me, considering Tynion's recent success with so many things in the past year or two. So it doesn't make any sense to me. And so far, from what I've read, and I haven't read everything, Batman since that has happened, it doesn't really seem to have changed much. He's still got resources. He's still got access to things. He's got, I don't know if that's supposed to be the lesson to me, or if
the writer doesn't have to feel bad for celebrating a billionaire anymore. He's only a billionaire.
Yeah, if that is on Tynion's part, coming from some type of whatever his
privilege
own belief is, or whatever. The whole privilege and whatever, the patriarchy and all this other garbage. That's just a garbage move that DC should not have allowed, as far as I'm concerned. And like I said, it hasn't changed from what I've seen. It hasn't changed the character much. He's still got the costumes. He's still got the bat belt, the everything else. He's still got the bike and the this and the that. It's like that was pointless to me. I don't get that. So
he doesn't have satellites anymore.
Oh my God!
Oh no!
And he can't just buy a competitor anymore and
how
buy a corporation.
How often did that stuff even go on? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a Batman aficionado, but
well, he did it a couple of times in Batman and the Outsiders.
Well, the only thing I'm even familiar with, even happening, is in the movies. Whenever he bought the bank that owned Superman's mom's farm, I mean, that's all I'm familiar with in that regard. So,
in the Dark Knight trilogy, he bought the hotel where the girls were swimming in the
that's right. Okay.
Thing, Like, okay, yeah, that's cute, but it's not like actual story here, it
doesn't matter.
Yeah, you murdered that guy. Said comic fans can't relate to a billionaire, but they can easily relate to a millionaire. Most comic fans are millionaires. It does. Yeah, at that point, it doesn't matter. No, it's like I can't relate to a millionaire either. So just leave the character alone and tell stories based on what the character is, and move forward with that.
What they need is to create a bunch of characters that are more broke communists.
There you go.
All right, whatever, guys. Retro Man, thank you so much.
United States of Captain America. Yeah.
What I was gonna say too is that they actually tried doing this with Batman losing his money back in the New 52. They did it with Batman Eternal, and Scott Snyder started it, and they had a better setup for it there. James Tynion is a Snyder acolyte. He's one of his students, or was one of his students. And it looks like they just tried to bring it back here. But what blows my mind is, leading into it, Tynion said he wanted to strip all of this away so Batman couldn't rely on technology and he had to rely on his skill. And then we move right into a story that's so technologically driven that it feels like it's more Batman Beyond than Batman. So I don't think he ever really follows through on I don't think he's doing what he thinks he's doing. And then right. I also take issue that if you read Batman and then read the other Bat supporting books, which have plot threads that are connecting between all of them, Batman feels like a completely different universe than everything else. Like Nightwing, Catwoman, Urban Legends with the Red Hood. So it all feels like it's just different. So that bugs me as well.
Retro Man says he's introducing way too many characters for my taste. He needs to build up some before bringing in others. Apparently, I understand this is bumped sales. People like these new characters, the first appearances. I think it's a strategy to keep the sales up. But I'm with Retro Man. It's like these are a lot of characters, and a lot of them are kind of duplicates of already existing characters. Punchline, Harley Quinn. You got the Gardener, Poison Ivy.
Yeah, we've already gone. It's there. There was a time everybody wanted first appearance. They wanted the 1 in 25s of Ghost Hunter. Clown Hunter. All the characters they want. Of Punchline. The character photo with the sketch. Everybody wanted those, and we wanted all the cool. They're done. Everybody already has those now. We've already finished our list, of people that wanted them like a couple months ago. That's not driving anything anymore. And now everybody's kind of like, okay, yeah. Can we just get some character building on these characters now? And that's where we are, and he doesn't really care to do that. So, okay, fine. Well, what are you going to do then? Well, we're going to put some more out. Well,
yeah. I want more Underbroken, personally. I thought that was the most interesting character he introduced. Doc, you said you had something to say about this?
Yeah. In a way, I understand what everybody's the complaints on it, but look back at what Claremont did in X-Men between about issue 94 and about issue 120. He introduced a phenomenal amount of new characters and new concepts, and that they're still playing with in that universe today, and they've become central to it. So I give it time. I mean, look,
Batman's already had that part, though. They already established all the characters.
Yeah, well, they can have another crop. That's my point. I mean,
it worked out with New Mutants.
It did, and
it didn't take sales. Come on, Doc.
Oh wait, you're talking.
You talking about 80s New Mutants, or?
Yes, when they introduced the New Mutants, they have to repackage it all the time.
No. I was talking about all the characters in the. I'm talking about the ancillary characters, not the ones. They're not going to carry their own books, but they give the A-list Batman Rogues galleries and guest stars a chance to cool off somewhere, where you're not bringing in.
Nobody's cooling Joker off, though.
Yeah, well, you can use him more sparingly. That's my point.
I agree with you there. Absolutely.
I mean, are we really letting them cool off though?
That's why. Yeah, they're not really.
Because even right now in stories currently, you've got Joker, you've got Scarecrow. I mean, you've got Catwoman kind of doing her thing as an anti-hero. You've got Poison Ivy. You've got Harley. Pretty much everyone's in play,
except for Bane.
No, I get that. I'm just talking about in the future.
Yeah.
So, Lade Graber says the problem is the magistrate is running at us like a speeding train, and we're tied to that train tracks without a Mountie to save us. That does suck. To me, Uel, I know you're loving it, but knowing where this is going, and you've seen where the story is heading to, it makes it a lot less interesting. It's
true, and I mean, I will admit, I'm liking Batman a lot, but I am not really looking forward to the entirety of the magistrate story and like wading through it. So having had a little bit of a taste of it before, I'm not fully looking for I'm looking forward to getting there, and well, I don't know, we'll see if we get to that point, if I keep going on or not. Jorge Jimenez will be a deciding factor probably.
Well, Michael Johnson Curie, thank you so much for supporting the channel. He brings that part up. Jorgonaut Batman, would Tynion Batman still have this big as sales? Also, drawing the best action of the cutest girls of the current big two artists really helps. Jorge Jimenez helps out dramatically. He's brilliant.
Yeah,
but
is it the best illustrated comic at DC, or maybe even the whole industry, right?
Yeah, he's beast, man. He's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different styles out there, but if you threw him on just about any book, I'd probably check it out.
Yep.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
That's how comics work.
Yeah, I mean, you can go from like a Daniel Warren Johnson to this guy, Jorge Jimenez, and you still have Ivan Rios out there, and so many really good people that are working in comics. We're lucky. We're very lucky.
Absolutely. So thank you very much to Michael Johnson Curry. Very good point. Does anyone else have any alibis about James Tynion's Batman, whether it's good or not? Uel says it's the best Batman he's ever read. Sounds like Josh from BatmanNews.com is a little more skeptical. What are you saying, Pele?
Oh, I'm just laughing about Uel saying it's the best Batman.
Well, I did have exceptions in that thing, but yeah, it is.
I was just going to leave with, I do think there's a good energy going. I'll give it that. And I think a lot of people like it because it's so different from what Tom King was doing. But I think if you go forward 5 to 10 years and come back and read this, I think you're going to be sitting here looking at it being like, what the fuck did I like about this? Sorry.
I think that's it, because you've had such a contrast from how much King sucked. And then you're like, oh, this is actually pretty good. This Fazoli's is actually really not bad. It's really quite nice compared to the dog shit. And and you're going to go back and look at it though after you had Olive Garden, and you've had a couple of small restaurant Italian food, and you're like, oh, Fazoli's really good. Kind of tasted canned, didn't it? Oh well.
It's like going to Long John Silver's. As a kid, it was the best. It's like, I want to go to Long John Silver's. You go there as an adult, and you're like, oh.
Tynion is definitely Olive Garden.
He's the Long John Silver's of comic book writers.
Right now.
He's not even Captain D's.
He's at least the Long John Silver's. Come on, man.
Buttery batter is actually pretty good.
What, you're telling me he's Vandy Camps? Oh, come on.
It's McDonald's after eating nothing but gas station hot dogs.
Hey,
yeah,
gas station hot dogs are good.
Yeah,
Big Macs are good after that.
I would probably take a spicy bite over McDonald's hamburger.
Yeah. All right, we got one more Batman topic. We've got the Batman Long Halloween special. Jeph Loeb and Tim Saylor returning for a 48-page, basically special in October in time for Halloween. This is in my top 10 Batman stories of all time. I imagine it is in a lot of people. Pele, I heard you being audibly excited about this.
I'm jazzed. I am jazzed. I love Long Halloween. It is just, it's like the old Ichabod Crane type stories, when you got your spice cider, it's a cold winter's day, you're sitting there under a blanket, and you've got your old favorite comics out, and I can just see myself in late October just sitting there curled up under a blanket reading this, and just enjoying it while there's a nice log on the fire. This is going to be fucking awesome. This is
on your
this
restaurant
is
scale. What is the Long Halloween?
For Italian,
is it
no, hell no. We're probably talking Ruth's Chris. It's
wow.
I can't afford that stuff.
Which is highly overrated, by the way, but it's still good. It's still really damn good. That's basically it. It's expensive. You ever looked at the back issues for Long Halloween? It's not cheap, but it's great food. It's awesome. You really enjoy it. It's mom's apple pie. It's really, really good stuff. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see what's brewing with it, and I think it's going to sell like fucking gangbusters. So
Absolutely.
There you go.
So Jasper Plan 9 says, are we talking about DC and Marvel canceling their appearances at Comic-Con? Last I saw, DC just announced their panels at Comic-Con. I knew that DC Films wasn't going to be there, but we'd known that for like 6 months. Did something change, anybody?
No, they still have panels. It's just very limited, and they're doing some questionable panels. But I think the whole point is that they're trying to step away in general.
Yeah, they're
at least
doing
while it's
their own
virtual. Yeah,
they're doing their own virtual.
And if we're being honest, their own version was way better than SDCC
way more
online.
views.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, just the production and planning for it was way better. So I'm okay.
All
with
right,
that.
so get into the Batman Long Halloween special. Chris, is this something that gets you excited for the last half of 2021?
I don't think I've ever read Batman: The Long Halloween. I haven't. Who's the writer?
I'm just kidding.
Jeph Loeb and
Jeph Loeb.
Yeah.
And who's the artist?
Tim
Sale.
Sale.
Never heard of any. I haven't heard of any of them.
Wow, all right.
I'm messing with you guys.
Oh,
All right.
Jesus, I'm gonna have to kick you off this. You can't
I
say
was
that.
trying- How do we?
My biggest complaint about this is I haven't seen Tim Sale do anything in forever. I like Tim Sale. Unless I've missed something, and you guys can fill me in. But yeah, I'm looking forward to checking this out. I need to go back and reread the Long Halloween. It has been a while since I've read it, so
Same.
I need to reread it in anticipation for this. But yeah, I'm excited to see it. Especially
a lot of this,
Tim Sale's art.
yeah, a lot of this has to go with the fact that that's what supposedly that the new movie's about. So the new Pattinson Batman,
Okay.
is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be tied directly in with the Long Halloween, or they're going to be a theatrical version of it. So this is why this is coming out now. So get people acquainted.
Have you guys
Fifth
seen?
anniversary.
Have you guys seen Tim Sale doing anything? I mean, when was the last time y'all saw him do anything?
He's
Jeph
been
Loeb
doing.
hasn't written for 10 years. I know that.
Did they
I'm
finally
not
finish
sure.
that Captain America in the last 10 years?
Captain
Is that what
America
happened?
White?
Yeah,
Yeah,
No.
that was good.
that was longer than that.
I don't think it ever got finished.
No, I thought it did.
I
Maybe
read
it
it.
did. I
In
don't
my head, it got finished.
No, but
Go ahead, Doc.
Wait, hold on. Didn't they just release an animated version of Long Halloween Part
Part 1, yes.
Yeah.
Why? Never mind. You know what? I give up.
This is what Kenneth Dowling has to say. I'm a bit apprehensive about this. Long Halloween is a perfect book in my top 5. I don't think you can or should add to it. I may check it out. There's already a sequel called Dark Victory, and it's just as good.
Yeah.
You should read it. It's amazing.
Here's my problem. Dark Knight Returns was a perfect book. And then they did Dark Knight 2. And then they did Dark Knight 3. And it just kept going down
4.
fucking hill.
Master Race and
Ugh.
Yeah. Stop. You have something that's perfect. Don't screw it up. The same way they screwed up Watchmen by doing Before Watchmen. And
Well,
then
I don't think they should ever
screwed
make
it
an
up.
X-Men comic again because we got Claremont's perfect run. That's the end of it.
okay.
Between a perfect miniseries. There's a difference between a perfect miniseries and a very, very long, successful run.
An IP.
Yeah, there is a difference. Doc is right. There is a difference.
I'm just
There is.
busting his nuggets. I'm just putting it on his.
But, yeah,
trying to
I
turn it
know,
on.
I get it. I'm just saying that, look, just if you're gonna have Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale do something else, have them do another different thing. They already did Long Halloween. Dark Victory was kind of the sequel. Why do you need a sequel to the first thing you already did a sequel to?
I don't think this is a sequel. This is kind of like a, like a filler. It's kind of like filling around the edges a bit. It's kind of like the way that they did do that with the Dark Knight Returns. The what did they call that? The something edition, not the
It's like
not
X-Men
the
Legends,
absolute
where we're
edition,
getting
but-
some fill-in. Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's probably more what it is. Really,
Well-
it's more like just kind of fill in the gaps a bit. But
Oh, I think
I
it's.
want more calendar, man.
I think it's more about engaging interest for anything future in that vein.
Yeah. I'm cautiously optimistic. I think Jeph Loeb's a solid
I'm
writer.
reading
Tim
it.
Sale, the only thing I've seen him do recently were the covers for Tom King's Batman, the variant covers. It looks like his art's a little more rigid than it used to be, but we'll see what it's like when he's actually doing, interiors.
I want to just see him do the color books again.
Yeah.
Go back to Marvel, do those color books.
Yeah.
Spider-Man blue, Hulk gray, Daredevil yellow.
Yeah.
Go do those.
I don't know. I'm not saying when his last works were, but I'm excited for this. I'm absolutely a customer. I will be on board for it, as I imagine most other people will be. Kenneth Dowling, I read Dark Victory. It was good, not as good as Long Halloween. That's my point. No fillers. I thought it was just good. It's almost as good as far as sequels go. That's what's great.
yeah.
It's one of my favorites. Man, what is with Kenneth Dowling is so on the doc train these days? What happened? I thought we were boys. But I quite enjoy it. Listen, I'm not loving everything coming out of DC Comics. Do I need more Batman comics? Not particularly, but I'm glad we're getting something, that's Long Halloween related. We got one more topic. Do you guys want to do this? We should probably wrap it up, shouldn't we?
Nah, we can do one more.
Let's keep
What
going.
is it?
Good.
It depends on what it is.
It's the Black
Oh.
Widow.
Ugh.
I know, Josh, you watched Black Widow. What'd you think?
No.
It was okay. I mean, look, there are definitely things that I'll just say this. I've got a review coming up tonight, but there are aspects of the movie that worked really well, and I think all the like family and character aspects were done incredibly well. One of the problems with the movie is that some people take issue that it's coming out at the wrong time, and I get what you're saying. Like, it should have come out after Civil War. You know, I think what we really have to look at is, one, we're getting it, and that's a plus, because it means we're probably going to get more female-led superhero movies that, you know, should happen when they need to happen. So just, if that's your argument, just shut up. You know, just be happy that it happened. What I will say is they try to do way too much. And because they try to do way too much, you don't get as solid or as cohesive of a story as you probably should have gotten. And the one thing that I think everybody wanted, the full in-depth view of Budapest, you don't get. But other than that, like, it's a solid movie. I had fun. I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it. And I'd say it comes in like middle of the pack with a lot of your first solo Marvel movies. Who is that, Doc, or is that Pele grunting?
That's Pele.
Come on, Pele. What are you grunting about?
It was a rancid sack of shit. I'll just put it that way. This is so horrible. It is like it's like Winter Soldier, but with like no timing, no charisma, and no originality. It is so painful. It was so painful to watch. And the only thing that they really set down and made a point to do is emasculate every single male character in this movie, to the point to where, you know, their balls didn't suck up in their body. They were cut off and they were thrown out the window. Women don't need no man. You know, and I'm like, oh God, now it's gotten to the point to where they're just going to make the movie about that. They're just going to write the whole movie around that. Female empowerment, yay, this is rah, this is great. You don't need to make women great by making men look like shit. You know, that's my whole point with that. You can elevate these women and give them great power and make them look like these amazing superheroic goddesses. You don't have to cut off and emasculate the men to do it. And unfortunately, this movie, that's exactly what they did. They made Red Garden, they Thorified him, just like they did in the Fat Thor on you know, that Abomination.
Endgame.
You know, and that's the abominable part of Endgame, is that what they horribly did to Thor. And it's just, and it was just like, oh God, even to the point to where you're like, can we please have just Papa, can we have just a bit more testosterone? Just a little bit of testosterone in this movie. The estrogen levels are flooding us all, and we're going to die in a menstrual plop. You know, and I'm like, I'm dying here. And we're watching this, and my wife's like, "Have your balls shrunk yet?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they're pretty tiny right now. This is shit." You know,
Look,
and she's like, "I'm embarrassed for you." And I'm like, yeah,
my only argument to that would be, and I don't want to give spoilers away, but you really don't have a lot of male characters in this at all. And,
No.
and the one that they really did emasculate to a degree, just because they made him a laughingstock, was Red Guardian. And I definitely take issue with that. If you would have given him one like heroic scene in this movie, I don't think you'd be having this argument. But the only other, agreed, it should have happened.
He couldn't even make it to the roof by himself, and this man was supposed to have wiped out an entire army of American special forces by himself, and he couldn't even make it to the fucking roof of a penitentiary where all the guards were like, you know, still in, you know, there was like 30 of them, and he couldn't even get to the roof. Oh, I gotta go save him. Oh, because, you know, he's too fat and stupid to make it on his own. You know.
He had look. I completely agree. Red Guardian had a disservice, but when you go outside of that, the only male character that they really emasculated was the villain, and let's be honest, he deserved it. But as much as we want to talk about this, they didn't have a like, oh, you need a woman to do it or a female power. Like, they just had them pretty much being badasses. I mean, but am I right? Like, did you have any lines?
No.
Did you have any lines? I'm just saying, did you have any lines like what we see in comics where it's like, oh, it takes a woman to do this, or oh, that's what happens when you have, like, you didn't have any of that crap.
when they're sitting there at the dinner table and she said, "Yeah, you always failed at that. You couldn't do anything. Look at this. Oh, I can get rid of him.
Well,
Let's
that's
talk
a
about my
specific
period."
person, right?
You know, and it's like, and she had to, it's like she had to demean him just to get him out of the
But that's
conversation to make him
demeaning
walk
one
away.
person, not a whole.
He was the only one in the damn movie except for
Well,
the villain. Even
there you go.
the villain that was supposed to be, you know, this,
Don't
this
get spoilers.
awesome-
Don't
Now you know how
Don't get
Sue
spoilers.
Storm's
the awesome
all
introduction of
this
the
time.
villain, they couldn't even do that. You know, it's like, oh, let's shit on this vintage character from like, you know, 30 years ago, and we're gonna make that hey, we're gonna subvert expectations again. Here you go, motherfuckers. You know, oh, come on, no.
That's as aggressive a stance as I've seen Pele have. Uel have. He was champing at the bit. Get him, Uel. It's your time.
No. I haven't seen it. I don't care to. You know.
And I'm not really this passionate
It's a
about it, but it
Marvel
did just
movie.
kind of, it really is just a hair in my ass over this because it's building up to it, and it's been building up for a while, and here they got it out, and it's like, oh damn, you could have done so much better as a tribute to this great Avenger instead of this shite.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Look, this movie is
Yeah.
it's 5 years too late.
Yeah.
It should have been the movie that came out between Infinity War and Endgame instead of Captain Marvel. It would have been a much better jumping off point, and it would have helped build Natasha's character just enough to really amplify her sacrifice in Endgame. It would have also set up things. Look, the point of this, I haven't seen this movie, but I can tell you one thing that I know is one of the reasons why I don't even give a shit is because there's no stakes, because I already know what's going to happen to Black Widow. I already know the end of her story. I don't need to give a shit about anything between. I already know
what Kenneth Dowling says. He says, "I'm going to see Black Widow tonight. Excited to see a Marvel movie on the big screen. And rest in peace to Richard Donner, creator of superhero movies, but love Lethal Weapon. And Wes, you're my boy for life." Well, of course. I was just teasing. And absolutely, Richard Donner will be missed. There's another one in here.
Thanks, Kenneth.
Thank you so much for supporting the channel, Kenneth. Wanted to share my top Spider-Man artist-writer teams. Lee Ditko, Dave Mateus, Zek, Michelini, Bagley. Not into Bagley now. That's crazy. DeFalco friends. My absolute favorite is Roger Stern and John Romita Jr. Love the panel. Take care, boys. Well, we love
Thanks,
you,
Kenneth.
and thank you so much for your list, and really appreciate you joining in here.
Hey, when did Mike? Was that Mike? When was Mike? When was the DeMatteis Mike? Was that Mike Zek?
Yeah.
When was that run?
I'm not falling for that again.
No, I don't
Wasn't
know.
that?
No,
Well,
seriously,
wasn't that
no,
Web Spider-Man?
I think that, yeah.
It went through all the different titles, though.
I think that was Web Spider-Man. DeMatteis and Zach. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because he did the that was during the Craven's Last Hunt
Yes.
era.
Yes.
Okay, that's okay. That was throwing me off a little bit, but yeah, I wasn't messing with you, Uel.
That was a great time for if you bought all three. That was a great
Frank?
time, by the way, if you're buying all three titles.
Yeah, that's cool.
This is Chris. Frank
All right.
Miller? Who?
Josh, based off what you saw in the theater
Ooh.
and the feedback that you gotten, do you think that Black Widow is going to exceed the predictions of 90, or is it 80 million? Was kind of the middle. The high was 90, 70 was the low. Where do you think it's going to drop?
I think it's probably going to fall somewhere in between there. I think a lot of people are ready to get back to normal, and I think this is the first blockbuster movie you're having come out that people feel like they can rely on to at least have a good time.
Fast and Furious.
Nope, Fast and Furious.
Yep.
I think there are too many people that have been let
There's no
down
family
by.
in-
I
Tomorrow
think too
War.
many people have been let down by
Tomorrow
Fast and
was
Furious. Yeah, since
Tomorrow
Let
War was
down.
fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not
For what it
Tomorrow
was.
wasn't a
But
big
it's not a
box office
theater movie.
release.
No,
Yeah, it's not a theater
Talking about
movie. Yeah.
Fast and the Furious, you can't be let down.
It's
There's going to be cars. There's going to be hot chicks in bikinis, and there's guys going to be talking nonsense about family and kicking
Family.
ass.
and it already
I've seen the memes.
and it made 150 million in a weekend.
There you go.
Look, in
And
general,
it's still going.
fair. I
Yeah,
would
John-
say in general, though, I think people are just ready to get back to doing things and quote unquote get back to normal. And I think what you're also seeing is, I mean, I know my local movie theater, they've been open, but it was limited hours. And last week was the first week that they opened up to regular hours. So I think that's going to help drive some stuff as well. But yeah, I think you're going to see strong numbers. I think people are just ready to get out and do stuff.
I'm so torn on this because I'm like, dude, I want this to succeed because I love my theaters and I love seeing them back in business. And I want people to go, and at the same time, the movie's just such a God, it gripes my ass. So I'm like, I'm torn in between the two things. I'm like, you really shouldn't see it, but go see it anyway because you love your movie theater, guys.
Yeah.
Do that.
Or your local movie theater.
But I'm worried about the second weekend drop on this is going to like be biblical.
I think.
Yeah.
I think the problem is with Black Widow is a lot of people mentally checked out after Endgame. This is not the follow-up movie that for the next phase or even to finish the last phase, however they're doing it.
That was Spider-Man, right?
I honestly, I don't know what the exact
I think
thing.
Spider-Man came after Endgame. Correct?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
But my point was that I don't know if this is the movie that to get people back into the theaters.
Better than Eternals.
Yeah, it is. But I think, honestly, Doctor Strange might have been the better choice
Maybe.
to release first because it's a character that's still alive and that people already have an attachment to and is probably going to be a more interesting character. Eternals, I think it's going to flop. Black Widow is a character that's already dead. So you're trying to sell a character that you already know the end of her story as the thing to draw people back in. I don't see the draw. That's my point.
And everybody loves Cumberdink Bandersnatch. So, it's going to be, he's awesome.
All right, this is what Kenneth says. He says, Dave Mateus, Mike Zecker on my list just for Kraven's Last Hunt. Great book piece. Absolutely, Kraven's Last Hunt is one of the great stories of all times.
Good.
Regardless of comic book superhero. And you have a great weekend, Kenneth. We really appreciate you supporting the channel and being here with us. Glad you had a good birthday weekend. And I think that's going to wrap it up with the Black Widow talk. Pele is not impressed.
No.
Josh was the voice of reason. It's not bad. That's about what he said.
I love you, Josh, man. I wasn't shitting on you, buddy.
Oh, no. Hang on.
Okay.
Look, if we can't have honest conversations, then what are we here for?
What do you recommend this week, Chris, over at Comics Explained? Comics Explained. Yeah.
What am I
Comics
recommending?
Exposed.
There's two things I am gonna recommend. Okay, the first thing is I am gonna recommend X-Men. I think it's worth seeing where they go, and it's especially worth the art alone because that elevates it above its station with the writing. And then the other thing I am going to recommend is when you get a chance, go back and find some back issues of Fell by Warren Ellis and read that. And enjoy that with fantastic art by Ben Templesmith. So have fun.
Absolutely. Great recommendations. Uel, what do you guys recommend down at Fantastic Comics?
Well, I mean, obviously you got your big hits. But I read Fight Girls by Frank Cho. It's got Frank Cho artwork in it, and it's a bunch of women vying for to become queen of the universe, basically. And it's got all sorts of violence and prehistoric monsters chomping on people. I thought it was a good first issue, and it's only a miniseries through AWA. I don't know how this is part of their whole Plague universe. I thought it was a shared universe, so I'm not so understanding about that. But nonetheless, Fight Girls was pretty good. Pick it up.
Awesome. All right, Josh, what do you recommend? Anything Batman related?
No. I'm gonna shock everyone. I'm actually gonna recommend a Tynion book. The Nice House on the Lake it's 2 issues in. It's actually really good so far. So hell has frozen over because I recommended Tynion. But
dude, that book was fun.
Yeah,
I like that.
And look, I said that I really enjoyed Spider-Man. I'm actually gonna go back and pick up the Spencer run and just try to catch up to see what all he did. And yeah, they're right. X-Men was solid enough. It's got potential. I'll probably look into it again.
You said you're going to do a review of Black Widow. Where can people find that?
It's going to be at popbyculture.com. So it is officially launching this weekend with this review. Woo!
Awesome. Well, if
There
you
you
can
go.
throw the link into the private chat, I will throw it in here and throw it on the screen so people can go find it this weekend and check out the debut review on the channel.
And then there'll be Black Widow. So I'm just going to cut in real quick. Sorry. The whole point of this is try to get people that watch movies into comics. That is my driving goal for this site. So we'll follow up with the next 3 weeks just talking about comics that tie to Black Widow.
Awesome. Sounds good. What else we got? We've got Pele. What are you guys selling over at Parts Unknown?
ASM, man. I'm gonna plug it too because it's a store plug for the week, and I'm also going to plug it because it's really, really good. It's into the stretch now, boys, and I liked it. I like the book. I like where this is going. It could be a rug pull, but at this point, I think I'm just, I'm in for a penny and for a pound, and I'm just looking forward to it.
He got you, right?
Yeah, if he got me, I'm into it, and maybe never again after this, but for now, I think this is pretty awesome, and I'm also going to throw in just go get the back issues of Beta Ray Bill while they're still on the stands. They're still out there. You go to your comic shop probably and see them sitting there. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know how this, we have them. We don't remove the new issues from just a month ago. You can still get them back there. Go and just grab 1 through 5. Just enjoy them. Enjoy the hell out of them. It's an awesome series. So.
All right, let's put this. I got it right now. Here's the website. Check out popbyculture.com. Unfortunately, Josh isn't a moderator, so he can't throw that in the chat himself. But thank you so much for that. Who else we got? Doc, have you made any recommendations?
Not yet.
Yeah,
I was waiting for everybody else. I'm in the second Amazing Spider-Man because I still think it is very good. I am actually going to recommend buying a generic Duggan comic.
Oh my god!
X-Men 1 is worthy of buying. I liked as much. I think I've always respected Pepe Larraz, but I've still considered him. I still liked him better when his name was Stuart Immonen. But however, this issue, he's starting to experiment with, I think, a little bit of his own style, getting away from being as much of a Immonen clone. And I think it's good. It's adding a little bit of grittiness, a little bit of dirtiness to his art, and it's giving it a unique flavor. It definitely improves this story. X-Men 1 is a good comic that had they had a competent editor anywhere in the building, it could have been a great comic, but instead you get Ukulele Boy editing it and all the morons like whoever the fuck else is in that office these days. They're just all terrible. So yes, I will recommend X-Men 1. And my final recommendation, my best recommendation of the week, is Hellions. Go out and pick it up if your store still has it, because it seems to sell out every time because stores don't want to bump their orders, but it always fucking sells out and it has good word of mouth. Order more, you dumbasses.
He's talking to you, Uel. You're going to order more. I can't hear you. He's muted.
I got it.
Use the
I was
dumbass.
typing. I'll listen to you, Doc. What was that again?
Hellions.
Hellions.
Reorder. Get on the
I don't know if I need to
reorder
re-
machine.
I don't know if I need to
still have
reorder
Hellions every
Hellions. No. I have a couple extra. I got my. It's not a sellout, I mean, Zeb Wells is okay, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it seems to be a very underordered book in my opinion.
It is
an underordered book.
Probably for a reason.
There's too many X-Men books, but it's the best
many X-Men books.
Suicide Squad comic you're going to read. I'm putting it out.
It
And
really
X-Men
is.
comic. We got Dark Admiral March here. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. James Logan Owlett is Wolverine, period. X-23 is cool, but is a clone. With the exception of T2, the sequel is rarely as good as the original. Sorry I was late. Had to get my 2 cents in. Now you
tell
about
him,
to start spark a sequel debate. There's great sequels out there. But Doc, like I said, Laura's the new Wolverine
No.
and Logan is old man Logan now. This is the way it is. You guys are going to have to get used to it.
Nope.
Patriarchy.
Yeah,
Nope.
we did that for the 5 years Wolverine was dead, and it
Yep.
just
Didn't work.
tanked sales.
Yep.
Okay,
It literally didn't
Right.
work. Literally didn't work.
Literally
Yeah.
did not work.
we
So-
already did
literally
it.
said sales went up.
Yeah, totally.
By like, from like 10 issues to 12. Ooh, whoa, that's great.
Expand that out to
And we saw it too. It was like,
shots.
yeah, it's like, oh, this is great.
It was
went
a
from
little bit
25,000 issues to 30. Woo!
In store when you're in your own little bubble, that's a lot of the math. If I know I can sell 25 of something, that's better
Yeah.
than something I'm going to take a chance on. This is something I always know I'm going to sell, and volume 2, not so much.
For the record, by the way, for the record, the reason why X-23 is called X-23 is because the original program the cloning process kept failing, so they tried 23 different ways to change the Y chromosome into another X chromosome in order to stabilize the cloning process. That's why she's X-23.
Well, thank you for the history lesson.
Yeah, thanks,
Uel
Doc.
Carter has been bombarded from every side this week. He's had the craziest thing. He said James Tynion's Batman's great. He's all on board. Laura being Wolverine. I appreciate you bringing a different perspective.
Yeah,
I've got a recommendation. Oh my goodness, you guys recommended anything that I would recommend. It's not been a great week. It's been an okay week. I guess I'll recommend Firepower 13 and The Good Asian. How's that?
Oh, awesome. Well, there's other books, but I just want to keep it quick. I know we're running late.
Yeah, you're definitely running late. Thank you so much to everybody, to the panel, everybody that supported the channel. Had a lot of fun, and we will see you next week once again on the Comics Aficionados.
Thank you for coming and having fun with us.
Yes.